Okay, good afternoon, folks, and welcome to Smudcast number 522, How Gurren Lagann Answers Evangelion. Now, I don't think Evangelion needs to be answered. I don't think it has a question. I just think it needs to be forgotten, and everyone will be happier. But if you want to make comparisons to other anime that had giant robots and end of the world plots, fine. I don't care. That's fair. I always say, don't watch Eva, watch FLCL. It's better, it's faster, it's more fun, and it has lots of drama and robots as well.
And it has a conclusion.
And it's made by the same company, which is like funny because they went, oh yeah, we did a thing. Let's not do that ever again. Let's actually have fun. And they did. And that's what I like. Or there's other Evangelion-like anime out there, way better. Razafon, I always talk about. That's a great one to watch. That has weird, creepy stuff in it, but not over the top, retarded, stupid shit. It has an ending as well, as characters you might like, and really cool robot designs. Really weird, cool looking, like way cooler than Eva. Eva's like technologically cool. This is like alien like cool. So,
Because of Ever, we have to mention that these other anime have endings.
yeah, they're called stories. Yeah, that's amazing. It's a beginning, a middle, and end. It's amazing. Wow, what an idea. Jeez. Hideki Anno must be stopped. I think he's dead now. Is he dead? Creatively, he's bankrupt. I know that, but I don't know about he's still living.
God.
He wants to make movies, like live action movies.
Oh, really?
Kind of like Hideo Kojima, except Anno has like a repertoire, but he can like go to, and he's actually a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Hideo Kojima is just he's more like a glorified filmmaker because he only does that with his video games.
It's such a. Whenever I hear about Hideo Kojima, I'm like, you love film. You grew up on film. You always wanted to make movies, and then now you're just making games. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Why did this happen? And then you look at Metal Gear Solid 4 and like, oh, I'm watching like a 12-hour movie. So, fun time. Anyway, this video came out last year, March, and it's by, let me see. It's by a gentleman called the Peanut Gallery, PNUT. Don't know what that means. Has 2.15K subs. So very small channel. But this video has almost 200,000 views. So good for him. I guess it attracts fans of both Gurren Lagann and Eva. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I'm looking at the time beats. One of them is sex position, religion, and what's the point? I'm like, okay, that's probably not a good series of connections, but maybe we'll get some good commentary. I don't know. Have we even covered this guy before? I don't recall, but geez. Anyway, I wish we had one of our super geeky anime guys on today, but we're going to have to do with what we can of our...
No, I don't think we have covered this channel before.
Yeah.
He barely has any videos, actually.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
In fact, this Eva video was his last upload, and it was over a year ago.
Yeah.
So maybe you thought, hey, I got a super watched video, mission accomplished.
Well, yeah, I guess that was part of it. I remember seeing people the past week, they've been posting about the Amber Heard trial like every hour, and they've been getting like millions of views, all because they made some observation of this, and you're like, how is this popular? I don't understand what's going on.
I am so sick of that trial. Just fucking end it.
It's done.
And I'm missing the hype.
Yeah, apparently
I could boost my channel to millions.
Apparently, Amber Heard was writing a pen and not writing a thing. Like she was moving her hand and nothing was touching the paper. And I was like, I don't care.
I was wondering what she was doing the entire time because it was like writing at a 90-degree angle. That's weird in the first place because she's writing from bottom to top.
Yeah, and
from the side. And
maybe she's writing in Arabic.
But her head was swaying all the time as if she was on drugs or something. It looked to me like she was dissociating.
Well, who knows? She definitely was sending notes back to her other lawyer, but she was sending them to Elaine as well, and Elaine was sitting there looking at the note like it was nothing and just kept paying attention to it was like the strange. I was like, what is the point of all this writing? Like, what do they do when you're in court? I understand if you're like making notes for your lawyers so they can cross, or like, oh, check out this this is wrong, cross her on that. But this is like during the closing statements. Like, what?
She was constantly writing without pause, or looked as if, and I think that was part of her always acting. That even maybe even the passing of a written note to her lawyer was part of looking like she was engaged in the trial.
There was
nothing on it.
There was a fun video that came out because whenever you go to court or litigation, you have to bring out everything. You have to bring up all this evidence, and she deleted videos from her Instagram, like whenever she got divorced. I don't remember what year that was. Mm-hmm. And one of those videos, because what she won in the divorce settlement was $7 million, a Range Rover, and I think some pets and furniture and stuff like that. And she was in the Range Rover with her sister, and they were singing "Sorry" from Justin Bieber. Like they were having the time of their life. And it was this strange, because it's like, you don't do that when you just divorce someone and you say you're traumatized by this man and you've just been awarded $7 million in a really super expensive car. And you're like, this doesn't seem like you're traumatized, honey. This seems like you're having a party. And
I mean, you could make the argument, I'm finally free and I got a few millions. Yay, my new life can start. I could take that interpretation.
Yeah, I don't know. It was so like, oh boy, if they showed that in court, holy shit, that would have been hilarious. But luckily, I don't have to think about Amber Heard until we get the obvious trial.
So much more that could have been shown.
We think it's going to be tomorrow because that's when things resume, but that's just the
hopefully
deliberation where the jury just goes, yeah, she's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think they will take very long. I think the longest thing to decide is how much, if anything, to give Johnny Depp.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, let's get on with the video. It's more than half an hour. We won't do it all today, of course, because it's going to take a while. We might get fed up. I don't know how this guy's argument is going to run, but you guys know my limitations on listening to crazy anime fanboys. So
well, from the title alone, I think like the video could be like 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
If I would make it, because like it's so on point. Like we answered it already. Thank you. Let's go on.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, if you guys haven't seen Gurren Lagann, Pierce the Heavens,
watch it.
Death of a Hero. Rebuilding a nation, building a whole people. Really, you're rebuilding
the hero's journey.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great story.
Joseph Campbell.
Lots of really cool action and robots. So have fun. Anyway, let's go.
Art is a reflection of the society in which it comes from,
okay.
And as such, it will ask its audience questions to consider. For example, at a glance, Finding Nemo examines the dangers of overparenting your kid and turning them into a rebellious, spiteful asshole. And also letting go as a parent or something. I don't know, that's not as interesting to me. Take any other piece of art as your choice, and I'm sure you would find that it asks its own set of questions. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been engaging with a piece of media and you see it possesses many of the same themes as earlier works you've engaged with? But when you start to examine this piece, and the one with similar ideas, you realize that this new piece was created almost as an exact thematic inverse of the previous one. In other words, they ask the same questions, but they give opposite answers.
I'm falling asleep.
Lagann is a show which really interests me, not in isolation, mind you, but how it functions as a meta response to another anime.
A meta response.
A meta response.
What the
that
fuck?
many of these same people also helped create.
Hey, that's great. I think that's a great line. It's this reflection,
I'm gonna
admission. It's
screen cap
amazing.
that
I love
bit.
it.
That's amazing.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I mean, honestly, watch Ritual, the movie Anno made. I think it was his first one, his only one until then. I might be wrong, but I think it was a student project or something. Really long ago. Ritual, but the T is written as a plus sign. that you see every trope that Arnaud loves in that movie used, and damn lot of train tracks.
Oh boy, here's
And it's very depressing. It's a very depressing movie.
fun, fantastic. Thanks, Hideki. It's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. Watch it. Watch Ritual.
Here's
And you will understand Arnaud, the inner workings of Arnaud.
here's JJJ.
He made the new Eva movies as like a reflection of his own life. So can he just
Really?
fuck off?
Oh god.
Yeah, yes. Like the final, because there's 4 rebuild movies. Sorry that I like interrupted the super chat, but there are 4 rebuild movies, and the final one is kind of like a reflection because Gendo's past is kind of similar to like Arno was viewing people. That he can't make connections and he just like feels depressed and all.
Really?
It's just just stop.
Poor baby. Oh boy. All right. Well, I'm gonna read the super chat and hopefully we'll get to better topics. JJJ Madness, thanks for the 5. The funny thing about Hideki Anno is that he hates Eva more than anyone. Why do you think the rebuilds are so bad? I don't know. This show is bad. There's moments of really cool ideas and animation, and like whenever you watch Breaking Bad, there's always that hell yeah moment. Like in every show, it's like
Yeah.
But there's also like really cringy, like this is so uncomfortable. Like there's lots of those scenes as well.
Mm-hmm.
And in Eva, it's just the other way around. There's just so many uncomfortable scenes, and then you might get one every few episodes. Like, oh, that was really cool. So, maybe it's just.
I don't think Arno hates Evangelion. He loves the money.
Oh, sure.
I mean, I did the Monster of the Week aspect of it. I think was really creative in it.
He's not incompetent. He just has bad ideas that got executed, and no one stopped him. And that's the problem. The same problem with Kojima is that he's great. He has so much passion. He has so many ideas, but he has too many. He needs like 3 good ideas for one scene. Give him 3. Don't give him 20. Don't give him 50. Give him 3.
Yeah, and I've said this before. These people are like George Lucas making the prequels.
Yeah. And
nobody says no,
Yes.
no,
Yeah.
no, George, please, no.
You saw that with his
No,
walking
Jar Jar Binks.
simulator, which sounds simple. Then you look at it, you're like, what kind of crazy story did you write? Like, who are these characters, and what are they? The ghost of the president or something? Like, what? He's a AI, virtual. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, I years ago I like called like Arno like the Japanese George Lucas because he is.
Yeah.
He
Nice.
is like so obsessed with his creation, but at the same time, like he hates it. Like I don't think like George Lucas hates Star Wars. He just like doesn't like how nobody understands him.
He just got
His vision.
tired for a while because everybody was shitting on him for the prequels, which is simply a product of the team not working as a team.
Yeah, with the first few films, everyone was available to put their input. There was hundreds of people involved. The editors were there.
And lots of them were telling Lucas, no,
Yeah,
that's a
exactly.
bad idea. Your editing is shit.
Oh god.
We keep these 40 minutes of movie out.
I saw some of the original cut, like what Lucas did, because I think like they showed it for some of these Star Wars conventions,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and they were horrible.
Yeah, the conversation.
He brings up the Sith, the concept of the Sith in The New Hope, like you know, like the scene where Vader comes in for the first time to discuss the matter with like the rest of the higher ups. They spend like 1 minute of telling that the Sith are not gonna be happy about this. Like
It sounds
nobody
like-
knows about them at this point.
It sounds like Japanese writing of movies, to be honest.
But yeah, it has been brought up several times that like who is that famous Japanese director?
Kurosaki?
Kurosawa. Yeah, Kurosawa. Like George Lucas even admitted that like he took a lot of ideas and he met with the guy himself. But yeah, like a lot of that writing and like the tropes that he has made in The New Hope are directly taken from that movie. Kurosawa's The Hidden Fortress. Yeah, that's the one.
I think it was Biggs or Wedge, I can't remember, but that was deleted scenes where they're talking for like 10 minutes or so, and it's like it adds nothing to the film.
Yes, because the original film starts with Tatooine, where Luke is just going for those converters or whatever with Biggs, and it's just it takes you out from the movie because they are talking about politics, how bad it is for them.
Yeah, he wants to
And he
join.
needs to like move away.
He wants to join the Imperials. He wants a life. He wants to get off this planet. And you're like, okay, yeah, good, fine. It doesn't take 10 minutes to explain that. It's like, why are you dwelling on this so long? So yeah, a lot of long scenes. But this also reminded me like of the stories from the 70s, those 70s sci-fi-ish stories, which were long, and all this exposition and world building. You're like, nothing's happening. And it's when you're doing a big motion picture where pacing is key. You need good editing, you need good storytelling, you need characters that are clear cut. And thankfully we had those editors on board that, got rid of all that crap and just gave us what was needed. So
yeah, the Vader scene you described, Mark, is so I haven't seen that specific one. I've only seen a super cut of things that were done in that version. But the way you described that, I have the anime version in my head, and Vader steps onto the scene, comes in from the right side of the frame. The frame pauses, like in this now it's a black and white picture, and you have the narrator speaking over it and explaining to you who this character is and what he does and maybe even how old he is and his blood type.
Yeah.
And then and then the movie resumes. That's what it sounds like, and that's what anime does all the fucking time.
I think anime has become so mainstream though that there's so many genres out there that they all read manga, they all watch anime, and they know what not to do. They know, don't waste my time. Gotcha. Okay.
Imagine A New Hope told like My Hero Academia.
Oh my god.
Oh, no. I recently watched a video that was very interesting because I didn't know like how much they changed it in the English dub, but like characters are completely different, like acting and like the way the story is flowing because of like how the translation works. Like Deku is like completely different. It's like a very interesting way, like how they much have changed just because they translated it in a particular way.
Alrighty.
But yeah, that's like a bit off topic.
I love this photo, but we got to keep going. So
frame it.
Evangelion 時は一度も自分がやれてると思えた瞬間はないですね。Evangelion の後の仕事で
Well, the animation was nice.
タイミングが
Oh yeah, these two people are the figureheads behind Studio Trigger. They used to be Gainax back in the day. And this is from an interview that Egoraptor has done with them at one time. I think this is like a few years old now.
Oh,
is that after he lost weight or when he was gaining weight?
No, he has been fat for like over a decade now. Come on.
I didn't see him. Okay, never mind. Okay.
It's not gonna stop anyone, don't worry.
Yeah, we all know we all watch the endings. We're fine.
I saw like the two theatrical cuts for Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann is essentially the exact same as the show, except it's worse. Because like it adds some content. Like you see some of the backstory where the king of humanity was fighting against the Antispirals, and like how he had to like betray like the humans so like he can keep down the population to 1 million. But I think it only adds like one more scene to the end and that's it. Otherwise it's the same as the TV show.
I never really know how to feel about these theatrical cut movies to an entire series.
Yeah, like they did that with Evangelion as well. Like there was Death and Rebirth, which is just a TV show with some added scene. I hate it because if you want to add scenes, just like make a director's cut for the entire show and just have it as the broadcast version. Then. These
things seem to me like these God, I forgot the name. I forgot so many words now. These episodes you have at half season point that are just recaps. Episodes.
Oh yeah, the recap episodes.
And I hate them so fucking much. And these theatrical cuts of the series, they're just giant recap episodes to me, and that's why I don't like them.
Yeah, Gurren Lagann, that just doesn't work as a movie.
I mean, in the case of with something like, what was the name? Danmachi? Picking up girls in a dungeon?
Oh, that one's great.
Yeah. Technically, you could have done that with that for the second season, third season. The one that's where the entire story is told from the other adventure party from the start.
Yeah, see, that's another example
That's when you do that as a theatrical cut instead. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think they did do a film or a video version of that, but that's an example of the premise is just, hey, I'm going to make a manga for whatever job I got, and you don't figure out the story because the title has nothing to do with the actual story of the anime or the manga. He just attracts people because he's basically your plucky young adventurer who's pure-hearted and he wants to help. And that's it. That's the character. He's just the guy who's there, and he gets caught up in all these other things, and the writer and the animators are so well-skilled that they tell a story of him just becoming better and better. They could tell that story at the pace it's going like forever. It's so slow that they're just going to have fun, crazy ideas, and it's fun to watch. There's all this tension and suspense and heroism, and you just want to keep watching it. Same with what was that? Rebirth into Noble Rebirth, or the same idea. It's just, they have all this talent, all this long ass storytelling. I don't even know what they're doing a third season, and it's just so well produced that it doesn't really matter what the characters are up against because there's a big catastrophic event and everyone's family has been teleported to other parts of the world and they have to go find them. And it's like that's a whole thing. That's like a Hiroshima event. Like, oh my God, what do you do? So that could go on for another 10 years if they wanted, but it's not gonna. There's no way they can drag that out. So anyway, let's keep going. JJJ Madness, thanks for the 5. So basically, every artistic director needs someone to tell them their ideas are horrible, or else their egos will get bloated.
Yes.
No.
No. The ideas will just eat the product.
Yeah, the egos are fine. I don't care how egotistical they get. It's their ideas are like, here's one idea, then here's another idea, and here's another, and it just keeps going and going and going until you're like, dude, you're not an idea man, you're a writer.
Yeah,
right.
I think the problem with that lies in that until you have the finished product in regards of a movie, you only have all these snippets in your head, and they seem really, really cool in your head. But when you have the finished thing, it's like this is a stitched together thing that should maybe be several things.
That's right, exactly.
I didn't put them together right. It's like the same reason why a musician, after making a song, lets the song rest for a week or two, and only then listens to it again to see like you've forgotten it a little, and then you can find the new errors in it.
Yeah.
And why these people are not Michelangelo or and that you can constantly see the art piece that you're working on.
Yeah, with Michelangelo, even when he was doing other work like the Sistine Chapel, and he wasn't just going home and sleeping, although sometimes he was working on other stuff for practice. He wanted to, like, you'll see his backyard was filled with half sculptured stuff, like blocks of marble that weren't finished. It's the same with Harlan Ellison when he was writing. When he writes a book, he doesn't just sit down and write a book. He has like 6 or 7 or 10 scripts going of novellas, screenplays, short stories, multiple genres. He's constantly, like, wherever his brain takes him, he'll go there and he'll stop, and then he'll go somewhere else, and then he'll stop, and then that's been like 8 hours of writing. So he'll just keep doing that. So
yeah,
with George, he had so much resources. And everyone's like, George, you're awesome. George, you're awesome. Okay, and other people would do the work for him. I don't know if you guys remember seeing that on the DVDs, or the Blu-rays, whatever. He wanted an idea for a robot, and they gave him like a board of like 20 different sketches, like fully colored. And he'd be like, "Oh, this is too small. This is too weird." And he'd just pick out the one he kind of liked, It wasn't his idea
Mhm.
anymore. It was some guy drew it.
Yeah.
And then they focus on that and do the same thing tomorrow. They take that one sketch and they do like 20 versions of it again. That's not writing.
Yeah.
That's not creation. That's just studio
Yeah, I
creation.
think you could excuse that with, well, the prequel era should look different. However, it would still be better if it had his direct influence.
It's a hard thing to argue because no one's really been in that position where you have an army of like 10 or 20 artists that are just for you, and they're your writers, and they do visual and they do audio, they do music, they do everything, and you're like, okay, here's money, here's time, you guys throw colorful things at me every day and let's make a movie. It's like, that's not how it works. But he managed to do it, so good for him. He's got the time and money. Anyway. Oh boy, this is going to be a long video. I can just feel it. This guy talks so slowly. Okay.
It has parts.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's take a step back for a second. In 1995, Gainax releases the mecha anime Neon Genesis Evangelion, a passion project of the then experienced animator Hideki Anno. In this project, Anno sought to explore his own depression and psychological issues. The result of doing this was a TV anime which stood in pretty stark contrast to its predecessors. Whereas before, the pilots and mecha shows had been noble, brave, and willing to protect their people, the main character Shinji lives in abject terror of the duty placed upon him. While I don't doubt that Shinji is written this way because it is reflective of Anno's own feelings,
I wouldn't
it should
call
also
it
be noted
terror.
that Anno is someone who has continued.
Wouldn't call it terror per se. Most of the time, Shinji seems apathetic.
Oh god, yeah. And it's not just Shinji, it's the cinematography where nothing happens for 10, 20, 30 seconds. You're like, what is going on? Like, why is this happening?
Oh, hate me, but that part I like.
At times,
Like
it's philosophical.
the super slow pace that gives you time to just take in the world, take in the background. And
Well, yeah.
I love that kind of shit.
There's the hedgehog. Well, maybe not in an adventure robot action story, but there's a great scene with the Hedgehog Dilemma episode where he's on the subway, and you see his CD player, whatever music player, and it hits the end of the CD and just rewinds and just plays back. Like he's done this like so many times before, and you see it multiple times. So he's totally like trying to run away, but he knows he can't. So he's stuck. Like that's cool. That's a good imagery because you're not saying anything with dialogue, and then eventually something happens, and then Misato catches up to him, and he has to go and help. It's kind of like the constant reluctant hero. He's just constantly, which gets boring after a time. So anyway.
He doesn't really make the
called for
connection
anime
that
industry
he
to
is the
innovate
hero.
and avoid stagnation. Creating a protagonist in this vein was yet another way to stand out from the crowd. After the release of Evangelion, the state of anime was changed forever. There are many videos which exist on the subject, but I think one of the most interesting and illuminating comparisons I have heard drawn is that what Star Wars is to America, Evangelion is to Japan.
I have heard this argument before, but I disagree. If you like see watch other shows that came before it, like you just completely dropped the idea.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's America either. That's weird. I would say to movies.
No, it's in like Star Wars for American movies and Ever for Japanese anime.
That's hard
like
to
the kind of shift in movies. I don't know, like it probably like brought back like mainstream sci-fi just a bit, because they did have, for Star Trek, they did have plans to expand upon like more series, but only after Star Wars was successful they were like, yeah, like let's actually make that movie.
You could argue it's popular. It's one of the most popular movies out there. I would say Eva's super popular for sure.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's what made movies for America. Has massive amount of movies that are way more influential, not as popular, but more influential to movies than Star Wars. So And Eva is like, we're talking about a drop in the ocean of anime. Was it influential? Sure, but so was Sailor Moon. So was Robotech.
Lupin.
Parts of Lupin.
Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball. Yeah, there's all kinds of anime out there that... we're talking about an anime series, not the Eva movies. I don't think the Eva movies were that influential. That's sort of after the fact. They wanted to remaster them or do something new. But compare Star Wars to like the prequels. The prequels weren't that influential. Maybe the LucasArts Industrial Light and Sound, that was influential. Like the studio concept of making CGI and everything all in one studio and making movies that way. That was a pioneer of their world. That's fine. But Kurosawa, I would say, is way more influential in Japanese film, not anime as a whole. Anime is too big. It is so diverse. I would say shonen anime as a whole is probably the equivalent because it's this genre that is everyone loves, or everyone, the most popular piece rather. Not that everyone loves it, but like everyone knows or has heard of Star Wars. Everyone knows or has heard of Dragon Ball and Naruto or Sailor Moon, or nowadays I'm not exactly sure, maybe Demon Hunter, or what is it?
Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer. Yeah. At a quick glance, in the West, in the US, it seems to be more like big franchises that keep on going forever in some form. In Japan, that is more the exception, and it's more like this sort of genre keeps going. This sort of genre defined by that trope keeps going.
Maybe. I don't know. There's going to be giant robo anime.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Dragon Ball is one of these big exceptions.
Yeah, but
also there was Gundam. Like, yeah, I would say like Gundam is way more influential.
Gundam, Robotech, Eva, yeah, they're all influential for different reasons. They all influence each other.
Yeah, I think NGE has this reputation because it made a big impact in the West. It stood out here because it was this big, well-animated anime series that we hadn't seen here much before.
Yeah, kind of like Hello Kitty in China. It's just, well, at the time, I don't know what it is nowadays. Onpon Man, maybe, in Japan. That's the other one. Yeah, there's all kinds of cute stuff for kids that are super popular.
In the West, people that grew up with anime, with when the stuff came over, when we started to sail the high seas, and we pulled it over. There wasn't really a push by Japan or by television channels here to really pull a lot over. Because they didn't expect we would just want this stuff even with subtitles. But everybody who grew up with this remembers the scene in the first episode of NGE where Eva 01 does the somersault jump into the face of the angel. This animation piece. Run, jump, somersault, bam. And that is this key piece of animation quality that hooks you in. Where you think like this has impact and this is cool. I want more of this because I haven't seen this animated in a TV series before. This is not a big movie where I'm sitting in the cinema. This is just some series.
I'm not sure I'd ever want to buy a Ray or Asuka drinking bottle.
I think that's shampoo.
Oh, it's shampoo. Okay, that makes more sense. All right.
Maybe.
As long as it's not that drink weird. They always have with the ball in the frickin' lid. I was like, okay, that's kind of silly. Yeah.
But I did like the soundtrack.
Oh yeah, all the artwork's great. Like everything that people drew and like visually good quality. It's what you look at it and go, oh yeah, this is good stuff.
Absolutely.
Ubiquitous, culturally important, and revolutionary. Just as Star Wars spawned the blockbuster, Evangelion spawned the original TV anime. And just as you can eventually trace the success of almost any blockbuster to Star Wars, the same holds true for original anime after Evangelion.
Is it really? I would say like Cowboy Bebop would have happened even without Eva
Yeah.
existing.
Yes,
For sure.
definitely.
Like it was such a passion project from the guy.
Yeah, it depends on who the guy is and why he's passionate about it to make the thing. So to say a depressed fellow is passionate about his depression is kind of weird.
Yeah.
I think
Passion
like
is not
no,
really
it
the
was
word
during
to
the time when he was
associate with
making Eva that he had this shift.
Yeah.
Like he wants to tell, because like the first few episodes, if you watch them in order, you see that there's no indication that it would go along that, like it just wants to explore Shinji's psychology. It's more about like the rest of the characters and the story itself, and only in the middle does it turn to that.
Yeah, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly, then, many shows which followed Eva decided to borrow from its tone.
Oh, God.
Oh no,
God,
it did not.
don't watch Lane.
Don't.
You want to be
Don't
depressed?
throw it into that.
You want to watch?
That's
You want to be depressed? Just watch. Okay, Eva, you'll at least get some fun, crazy, stupid shit. Lane is just boring, depressed nothingness. You're like, ugh.
there is a certain thing to it because it can fry your brain a little bit.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Honestly, it's just a waste of time.
It has
is
Bill
when you
Gates
are-
in it.
When you're a teenager, it's amazing.
I've never seen depression before. Oh, that's okay. Now I know. It's like getting stabbed in the foot. Ow! Now I know that sucks. I'm never gonna do that again. Okay.
Hey, the title song is amazing. I got a signed copy of the album from the band.
Okay.
I have to like it.
I'm sure both for financial capitalization and creative inspiration. But now let's go back again to 1995, when the director of Gurren Lagann is handed his first job in the industry. Hiroyuki Amishi first got his start working as a key animator on Evangelion. From there,
That crew's
he
dead.
worked with Gainax over the years on many other projects, until finally getting his first directing role on Tenga Toppa Gurren Lagann. Now, while Evangelion is undoubtedly the brainchild of Hideki Anno, such a direct connection cannot be made for Gurren Lagann. Hiroyuki notes that Gurren Lagann was a project which already existed before he was appointed director. When it came to pre-production, much of the project was already planned out before he was put in charge. But he does note that he did have some discretion and obviously injected his own ideas and influence. When asked about the unbridled optimism present in Gurren Lagann, Hiroyuki ties his answer directly into Neon Genesis Evangelion. He acknowledges that, after Neon Genesis Evangelion, there's a time when the protagonist would refuse to pilot mecha. It was almost an antithesis to what mecha anime had been during the 70s and 80s, that you piloted mecha willingly and fought hard. However, with Neon Genesis Evangelion, refusing to pilot mecha embodied the youth of that era. These things are cyclical, though.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
As when I was
No.
working on Gurren Lagann, there was too much of this refusal-type attitude. From my standpoint, if someone asked me to pilot a mecha, I would, even if they said I wasn't allowed to. As far as I have dug, this is one of the only direct refutations Hiroyuki acknowledges to be present in Gurren Lagann. There are other interviews which acknowledge the obvious impact of Evangelion on the show, but few others which say, because Eva did this, we did the opposite.
No.
Still, from that, we can garner that there was at least somewhat of a concerted effort to refute the tropes and attitudes the studio itself had caused to permeate the industry. Which is why I think now is the appropriate time to ask a big and important question, one that will help lay the groundwork for the rest of this analysis. What is the message of Evangelion, and what is the message of Gurren Lagann?
That is a good question about Eva.
Evangelion
I don't think
is a
even
show
Anno
about
knows that.
loneliness, depression, how we relate to other people, and the ultimate futility in all of it. Despite everyone's best efforts, the main characters grow increasingly estranged from one another as the story progresses,
How exciting.
to the point where Shinji, Misato, Rei, and Asuka will no longer speak to one another by the final episodes. The payoff of this unrelation comes in the end of Evangelion,
payoff.
where it appears the vast majority of humanity chooses to forego its individuality,
Chooses?
combine into a giant space creature.
They don't have a
give up on the
choice.
idea of being a human because
Their AT fields are destroyed, and thereby they all turn to goop.
Yeah, that's the point of the entire sequence, is that like there's an
Yeah.
anti-AT field beam, or whatever, that goes through the entirety of Earth. And it just
Yeah.
gives up all their souls.
Yeah,
it's
because
great.
the secret organization wants to unite humanity as this one thing and send it to space to be one thing
Yeah.
always existing and remembered
It's kind of like
or something.
what you get in like a JRPG. Like the villain wants peace on Earth, and to do that, he has to make everyone the same. But there's no real understanding what that means until the end. You're like, oh, you want to turn people into monsters or snails or something stupid. You're like,
Destroy consciousness.
yeah, it's like, what? This is retarded. Why would you want to do that? Well, in this case, Eva, you're goop. You're just whatever. It's just dumb shit.
Yes.
It's silly.
Yeah, the consciousness of everyone exists in the goop. It's like the
The Great Link. Yeah, and DS9.
Yeah, yeah.
But you're not a cool shape-shifting alien. You're just goop,
You're just goop. You can't get out of it.
which sounds like hell because now your body is no longer physical. You're just all the memories you've had might be there, but you can't do anything about them. Like you have.
Oh, in the end, you can get out of
everyone
it.
at the
Like
same
it's
time.
just up to personal choice. And but apparently nobody else wanted to
Yeah.
get out of it, because it's only Shinji and Asuka that gets out.
Yeah, he really
Which makes no sense.
wants to strangle her. Like it's all he wants. Like he could have whatever he wants in his brain, liquid dream, forever and ever. But no, let's just strangle Asuka. Let's just do that.
Yeah, Shinji is into BDSM. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Or
Well, he was
autoerotic
abused as a
asphyxiation.
child, so
Hey, that's David Carradine, okay?
He really wants to strangle himself, but he can't because there's no.
no one alive anymore.
There's no rope. I don't know. There's nothing. He's on a
Oh
beach.
god,
He can't-
if that would have happened at the beginning of End of Evangelion, like Shinji just dies of autoerotic asphyxiation.
Couldn't you have used his Walkman headphone cable?
Oh, he's in the shower. He's trying to do that, and Misato walks in on him like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Just all over the place.
Oh, no! I know, what have you done to us? Why?
Oh God.
Why?
No, that
Why
was
did you
the-
make us,
that was the
when we were
original
kids, why did
beginning,
you
but,
make us
like-
believe this might be cool stuff?
That was the original script, but like everyone was telling Gado that like, hey, we're not gonna work on this if you go with it.
I was so depressed. I tried to hang myself and jerk off, and it didn't work out. And here's my story. Like, what? No, we're not writing that.
Okay, guys, I gotta go and film Kill Bill 2.
Was it a prophecy for the band history of X, Japan?
Is that where they hang upside down and play music?
No, there's lots
Yes.
of deaths by autoerotic asphyxiation.
Oh.
And I say, oh, it was an accident. It was an accident. He didn't want to kill himself, but it wasn't autoerotic asphyxiation because fetishes are bad in Japan. It's so weird.
Anyway, this scene is as creepy as it looks. So just imagine what this is on a global level.
it's too difficult. Gurren Lagann is a show which aims to demonstrate precisely the opposite. Gurren Lagann is a show about how human progression can ultimately backfire and bring about harm to ourselves. Yet despite this fact, humanity continually decides to deal with that hardship and play with that fire.
How is that the opposite of a bunch of angels coming down to turn humanity into goop? What are you talking about? How do you measure that? Like, what's the scale? I don't know where he's cut. Like, how is I don't know.
Asserting that being a human being is awesome. Fighting is awesome. When
No,
the
it's
world
not.
is in a state of peace, we see the characters overcome with tedium. Only when all these disjointed, vibrant, and clashing personalities work together to overcome a great obstacle do they appear to be enjoying themselves. From here, we can see the fundamental difference which helps to understand
I
how
see.
these
In
shows
Gurren
are
Lagann,
related.
people enjoy
While
themselves.
the
Never they
characters in
don't.
Evangelion struggle to live, the
Then
characters in Gurren Lagann
Most
live
anime
to
is an answer to
struggle.
Evangelion.
That's stupid. No, they don't live to struggle. What the fuck?
My struggle.
You think everyone in Gurren Lagann is just like crazy conflict nut jobs that just want to fight each other? No, they want peace. They want to be left alone. What are you talking about? They don't. Survival is that. Exactly that. It's not, I want to survive so I can fight. That's not what it is. No. Holy hell, what is he talking about?
Evangelion detests our constant fighting, while Gurren Lagann embraces it.
What?
You mean like Dragon Ball?
These guys aren't battle crazy? No.
They have
Son
to do.
Goku?
They have to fight because if they don't combat the anti-spirals, the entire human race is going to go extinct.
Yeah.
They have no other choice.
It's not the opposite of Evangelion. Evangelion angels come down and want to wipe out humanity. In Gurren Lagann, the Antispirals want to wipe out humanity, so we have to stop them. And we have these other things to do so. And
In fact, humanity didn't want to be an aggressor. All they did was they reached like the population limit, which I remember being 1 million. And if they go over 1 million, then the anti-spirals just activate and they just wipe out humanity as they are. Because they would become eventually a threat to all the other galaxies.
And they were already in a post-apocalyptic scenario, so something already happened that caused that. So it's like they're trying to survive in a desert wasteland. What is this guy? I don't think he watched the same show, or he's only picking up on certain parts. I don't know. Okay. Anyway.
And that simple distinction helps illuminate why these two plots stand as inversions of each other. Evangelion...
It's pretty much the same plot. The bad guys want to wipe out humanity. And
It's just like kind of like a twist in Gurren Lagann, because like first you think it's the Beastmen who are ruling the world, and then you realize that it's like, no, the anti-spirals are the ones who made it.
the world's bigger than we thought. Yeah.
Way bigger.
thrives in a state of breakdown. Everything is always broken. The Avas are always breaking. The characters are mentally breaking. The city, the world, and eventually the entire human race break down. Evangelion asserts that our differences will drive us apart, piece by piece, person by person, city by city.
I don't... Is that really the message?
No.
I don't think so.
That's just things that happen.
Yeah, they're it's one crazy guy who wants his wife back, and he doesn't care about his son, and his son has these, he's trying to connect with people and he can't, and he's scared. Doesn't help his son out. Misato tries her best, it doesn't help out. And all the other kids have their own weird problems.
Misato is the
Misato's
worst.
best isn't really a lot because she's an alcoholic that
She's not
doesn't
good.
really care.
And the groomer as well. Like, oh god, like she kissed Shinji.
Yeah, this is not what happens in the story as far as I recall. So
This is so much fucked up shit.
Until the whole world ceases to exist. Gurren Lagann starts in a fractured world and builds it into a better society. The key to this progression is combining. Once Communist steals a gunman, he insists that Simone and him combine in order to increase their attack power. Simone continues to combine throughout the series, with robots that grow increasingly larger every time. When Simone combines with someone, the two people do not merge their consciousness into one, but rather coordinate their separate, distinct movements in order to defeat their enemies. These two approaches are also reflected in the plot structure.
yeah, but this is also in Evangelion as well. There's that whole episode where they have to train to be in synchronicity with the music.
It's. I think it's mirroring that episode.
Yeah.
Vandred!
Oh, yeah.
Vandred!
The people of Tokyo
literally
3
this.
wait for threats to approach them, and rarely do the characters in Evangelion stray from outside the city. They're helpless, with little agency, doing the best they can to fend off foreign threats.
There it is.
But this is ultimately an ineffectual effort. It's saying, even if you stand still and live conservatively, everything will still break around you. Gurren Lagann rarely stays in one place. The story
When you
is a
stand still is
constant
usually when
journey,
things break.
trekking across the Earth's surface, and eventually the entire galaxy. Humanity could choose to ignore the threats and live underground, but they deliberately meet and challenge whatever stands in the way of human progress. It instead says, in order to continue, humanity must charge forward. Up to this point, I have focused on direct inversions, things in Gurren Lagann that seem to directly spit in the face of Evangelion. But not everything that happens in Gurren is so directly defiant. In fact, there are many characters, events, and underlying ideas which are similar. But one delineation that helps explain how these similarities ultimately look foreign side by side is the tone. I want to look at one theme which recurs in both shows time and time again. Sexuality. It's the sex!
What? Okay.
When asked what sex is, Evangelion shows it at its most awkward, uncomfortable, confusing, frustrating, and unhealthy states. Shinji's affection for the women
I don't
in his
know,
life
Misato
is
seemed to have
totally
fun.
repressed. He constantly denies his
Was it Kanji or who was the spy guy?
Yeah,
I
Kaji.
can't remember. Kanji, yeah. Like him and Misato like actually looked like a real couple.
Yeah.
Everything else was forced.
Mm-hmm.
Like Gendo and Yui were like we barely see any of that in this show. We only get the idea that Gendo was really in love with that woman,
Right.
to the point that like he was willing to like sacrifice his entire life.
And
that.
Ritsuko is just an idiot. Like she's just dumb.
It's just
Ritsuko
failed.
is like trying to make a revenge. Her entire life is just revenge.
She loves Gendo, but hates it. Like, what is going on? Like, this is so.
According to End of Ever, she's just doing it all to like take her revenge on him. But it just doesn't make any sense
Makes no
because
sense.
the rest of the story is like they are lovers or something.
They're gonna die. Everyone's gonna die if you screw anything up. And it's like, okay, well, that's fine.
Once you're all in the same group, Gendo will know that
Oh god.
you actually sabotaged him or something.
Yeah,
I
but
don't fucking know.
This stuff with Shinji, like he's a kid. The other two girls, one's a freaking clone, doesn't know what the hell to do with anything, and Asuka's just mommy complex all the time. And he's like, okay, this is not a healthy foundation for any relationship. So sexuality,
Not just mommy complex. The way she acts around Kanji shows that she has daddy issues as well.
it's I wouldn't even call it sexuality though. That's just she has issues. You're like, yeah, that's right. She has problems.
She's mentally
Hormone-ridden teenagers that have absolutely no guidance.
Yeah, but she doesn't even like Shinji that much. Like it's not even like romantic. It's just sort of he's a friend.
The only thing between them is that like both of them are mentally ill.
Yeah, well.
Mm-hmm.
And like they have the same issue, except like Shinji is like an introvert and Asuka is definitely an extrovert.
Yeah, and then you have a guy his age who's like an angel called Kaoru who technically loves him, but it's in word only. Like you don't like. How does that even translate? Shinji has no idea. He has to kill him anyway, and it's like, okay, that happened. What was that about? I don't know. He says
To me, it's not clear how Kaoru's mind even works because he is an angel and not a human.
right.
Because what the fuck is his mind anyway?
What does he love? How does he show that? By letting him kill him?
How does he even feel? How does he understand love? Is that because of course people will interpret, oh, it must be sexual. Like, I don't know. There's other types of that, and if this is such a divine being, technically speaking, there can just be anything, any sort of love.
And is that relevant? How does that help? Etc. It's like it doesn't do anything for the plot. He just has to. He's in the way because he's an angel. So Shinji must kill him. Therefore, he must die. And you're like, okay. And that's
And since
conflict.
Kaoru is this really strange being, he thinks, yeah, okay, kill me. It's fine. It's good for you.
And because he loves him, he's fine with that. I'm like, that is like, what is happening in this story? And it only drives Shinji even crazier. So I'm assuming that's the point, is just to drive Shinji crazy even more than he is.
Maybe?
Why else do that?
I don't know. Does it make a difference whether Shinji is crazy or not?
What else is there in the story? It's all about Shinji's mental state trying to do shit, and he fails and fails.
The cool mecha fights.
Yeah, like the time when he loses his, or he forgets, like he doesn't know what happens, is the time when the Unit 1 eats the core of another angel or something, and now it's like it's independent. It can move about by itself.
It doesn't need a cable anymore.
Yeah, so now it has its own battery source or whatever. It's like, okay, that was nothing to do with Shinji. He was out of it. He was just like, I have no control over this crazy thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
You can interpret the scenes in End of Evangelion as, okay, Shinji needs to be in Ever 01 for it to function, but when he's crazy, he can't control it. Like when he has a mental breakdown, and then the thing just does what it's supposed to do in the case of triggering the end of the world or some shit.
Yeah, all his training usually fails.
So he's just supposed to be in there, but he's not supposed to be functioning.
Yeah, Asuka has moments of genius and screws up a lot, and then Rei is Rei. Who cares about Rei? Then Kaoru comes on, and he's like amazing. And you're like, okay, what's going on? It's a strange series, to put it lightly, and it focuses on Shinji's mental state and personality, which is boring.
Would you say Anno is a discovery writer?
You mean he doesn't know what he's doing and he writes every
Yes.
It feels disconnected. I don't know. I don't know what he planned, but if every episode is just like, were you planning this? I don't think so.
Yeah, definitely in Evangelion. I don't know about Furikuri.
He had very little to do with that. All he did was he voiced the cat.
Okay.
Literally.
Okay, good.
And I think like he gave the money for it. that was a good investment.
Yeah, I suggest we get together one weekend and watch Ritual.
Oh,
I haven't seen it for almost 20 years. I remember I don't want to see it again, but with other Hideaki Anno fans, that is surely a thing we can do.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for more Anno films. I haven't even seen the Godzilla movie that he has made.
I found it okay.
Shin Godzilla, is that the name?
Yeah.
I just hate kaiju movies in general. So.
Yeah, but it's because I liked it because it's this cheesy old time Japanese monster movie where the government tries to fix the issue, and it's mostly people sitting in a room having meetings. And then outside is Godzilla in his various forms of evolution, walking around destroying the city, and they sit in their rooms discussing and reading papers and making signatures, and it's great. I love it. It's bizarre.
Yeah, like
and it's how bureaucracy is in the crisis.
Original Japanese Godzilla was like that as well.
Mm. And it's how bureaucracy and government functions in a crisis. And this is something that we don't realize.
I've seen enough COVID response.
Anyway, back to sex and
yeah.
I don't know.
No.
Urges whenever they're brought to attention by another character. And I don't have to mention this scene, do I? But even beyond our main character, there's still plenty of weird sex to go around.
He has so much enjoyment on his face.
Show that she is also confused about her own feelings for Kaji and Shinji. But really, the character who exemplifies this the most is, of course, Misato. Despite having pretty bitter feelings towards Kaji and realizing he makes a bad partner, Misato ultimately reforms a sexual relationship with him. When we first see her go to sleep with him, it's after months of grueling,
it was just
depressing,
nostalgia
hard
sex.
Work. This is the relief in her life. She doesn't do it because she loves Kaji, or at least this isn't her primary reason at first. She does it because she needs to. Because she can't make it through her job without it. It's portrayed to be as unhealthy as it sounds.
She's horny.
However,
it looks healthier than any other relationship in this whole freaking story. Two people who don't want to kill each other is pretty good.
And they actually had a past as well.
Yeah, they've done it before, so it's like, all right.
You used to have a relationship. Yeah.
It's better than freaking the doctor chick going crazy, wanting to kill Kendo. There's Ray doesn't give a shit, and then they got Ray 2, and she totally doesn't give a shit.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Like I looked up an interview that somebody asked, like, I know, like why is like Ray so absent in many of the episodes, and he was like so angry. Like he was like describing the character as in like, well, I didn't really care about this doll anymore. And, like she's really there for just fan service. I'm like, okay, why do you have fan service in a show that's about your depression?
They made jokes about that on the closing credits with the actors about there'll be more fan service next episode.
Yes. Yeah, they do that all the time.
I was like, what? That's not why we watch the show. What are you talking about? What the hell is this shit?
I'm willing to bet that the majority of the audience in Japan is watching it for the fan
Yeah,
service.
but I'm sure there was actual adult anime out at the time that
Yeah.
you could have watched than that. If you-
Plenty.
Yeah, so why would you watch a depressing, realistic, or trying to be...
14-year-old.
I don't know. It's too weird for me to spend that kind of attention on, oh my god, a panty shot. Like, what? No.
They could have just read Berserk instead.
Yeah, that's better. Better idea.
That's another fact. Like, if Berserk existed like almost a decade before this, like, can we really talk about like adult themes and depression and shit like that, like mental trauma? Because that series has way more than the Evangelion.
But Mark, Berserk wasn't an anime fully serialized,
Ah, of course, yes.
so nobody saw it. Nobody knows it.
Other
Well,
dudes saw it.
Back in, I mean, if you want to talk about good stories with depression or psychological themes, like Monster was released in the 90s as well. So,
When was it written, though?
I wouldn't say early 90s, probably mid 90s. I don't remember exactly when, but it took a while.
Later.
Yeah, it took a while to write, and then the anime came out in 2001. Was that during?
94.
really?
94 to 2001 path.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so it took a while to get Monster going as an anime, and you can't adapt that. You have to like take it for what it is. Okay, here's manga 1.
Oh yeah.
Episode 1.
Like, can we really say that Monster was inspired by Evangelion?
No,
can't-
no.
Because the author of Monster is like legitimately someone that I could consider a writer, and he is. Like, he writes novels. What was that? I think like the sequel to Monster, the manga, is actually just a novel, and it came with a picture book as well, just to keep the tradition.
Yeah, but those endings and closing credits, or opening and closing credits, are beautiful. Like, they're just so
Absolutely.
creepy and moody, and really sets the tone. Like, oh,
One of the few instances where I just say like, yeah, like there's the manga and it's really cool, but you gotta just watch the anime.
I
It just
know.
adds so much.
it's beautiful stuff. I know, it's really cool.
We need to force LitDev to watch all of it.
He has.
Yeah. It takes time though. It's not like
He
watching,
watched the first episode.
Yeah, if you're watching like DS9, like that's the kind of dedication you have to watch the whole series.
Oh.
Now that's a show that I gave up because I wasn't in the mood. But I'm like regretting it so much because I can see that it's so cool.
You need
But
to check
it
through to
just,
season
I always
3.
just look at how many episodes would be left. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
I can't watch through the fillers.
It's tough. Like, even with the first season of Babylon 5, it's like, that's weird. It's a weird show, and then it gets much.
Oh, but look, you watched the first episode of Babylon 5 and you engaged. Just with that episode.
It
First
does-
season.
Well, the
Babylon
first
5.
season it has a few episodes that are throwaway episodes, but it tries to mirror the episodic style of Star Trek, but it never does that. It just tries to get you into it that way, and
Yeah.
there's some really cool episodes, but they have nothing to do with anything. And that was like, oh, just setting the tone, setting some of the characters' backstory. But once the story gets going,
They have little bits that do advance the story, but are not necessary to understand the story.
they are cool though.
Like
I
the
do like them.
episode with that just follows the two maintenance guys.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Yeah.
It's the
Harlan Ellison.
equivalent to the musical episode in Buffy.
It's so good. And there's the one episode which is a throwaway, which is that crazy bug, not a bug. It's like an Egyptian scarab that attaches to that archaeologist's chest and turns him into this super weapon that tries to protect a dead civilization. Like that's one of those throwaway episodes, but it highlights the backstory of one of the characters and it gives you some world building. Like there's crazy, nasty stuff out there and humanity's not ready. And like stuff like that is,
and even the other races aren't ready.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
That have been spacefaring for centuries and more.
Yeah, it's great. I really like how it's like you don't talk about the Centauri or the not the Centauri,
the Vorlons.
Well, the Vorlons that's a whole other ball game. But there's that flashback episode near the end of the series where the Centauri are Londo went to Earth. And they're interviewing and say, hey, what do you know about this species? And they want to expand because the Earth wants to expand. And it was the Minbari. Like, you do not touch the dragon. You do not wake the dragon or whatever he was trying to explain. And it's like, yeah. And as soon as they did that, first contact, humanity almost got wiped out. It was so,
yeah.
so
and
scary.
all on a cultural misunderstanding.
Exactly, yeah.
It's amazing. And the difference is that Babylon 5, the story, the general story, was planned out from the beginning. And if you've seen it before and then you rewatch it, just watch the first episode. It's like everything is in there already. You just don't know. That's where I think that's where it's good writing.
Which is amazing because he had to replace one of the main characters that wasn't part of the plan. And he goes, "Oh, I can work with this," and he managed to pull it off.
Yeah, and he made it even. I'd say he made it better that way.
I don't know what he would have done. Yeah, it's kind of strange.
It definitely makes it a bit weirder, but it also makes it better.
Yeah, I tend to shy away from the time travel stuff, but that actually made some sense. So I was like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, that's hard to pull off. Babylon 5 has a time travel element that makes that is okay.
It's okay, yeah. It's not like, oh, that makes perfect sense, but it's okay enough that you're like, all right, I'll buy it. That's fair.
Yeah, and it's just this one thing, and it's big, it's relevant, but it's like nobody has control over it. It just happens.
And it's part of one of the major species history that is sort of like the Jesus moment. It's like no one's really sure exactly what happened. And you're like, okay, would there be records? Like, nope. No one knows. Okay.
But if you are the one.
Yeah.
We got once Smudcast a long time ago by now. We got a Saphras meme with Crowder change my mind. I don't know how did in this day and age, 30 years after Babylon 5, someone make a Saphras meme.
Yeah.
How does this happen? Why?
You are not the one changed my mind, something like that. Then it has like a picture of Sinclair walking by.
It was just yesterday. I watched. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. I watched the first two episodes with Bears, and he was blown away.
Really?
So one of his first comments was, "The aliens look like aliens."
I know.
This is amazing.
That was one of the arguments from Jeffrey Combs, who plays the Minbari, the attaché Lanier. And
Jeffrey Combs doesn't play Lanier.
Who the hell plays Lanier? It was the kid from Lost in Space.
No, that's I forgot his name.
Bill Mumy. Sorry, Bill Mumy.
Yes, exactly. Jeffrey Combs plays something in Babylon 5, but I forgot what. He's in Babylon 5.
Well, he was saying he hated going to work because of the 2 or 3 hours you had to get into makeup, but he loved the job. Like it was kind of a weird thing. He hated doing the job, but he liked the role he was in. So anyway, we're getting off topic. Go watch Bab 5.
Yeah, exactly. It's better than NGE.
Oh, God, yeah.
I am willing to acknowledge that this interpretation of Misato might be doing her character a little bit of disservice.
Why?
I think Misato's sexuality does go a lot deeper because ultimately, it seems to be her character's primary mode of expression.
No.
That said,
I feel like the common theme in Evangelion is that like none of these people can connect with each other.
Yeah.
And like the very end of it is that like all of humanity finally combines together, so like all those boundaries are over, because like all of them have essentially their own AT fields, and they use it to like protect themselves against like being hurt.
Yeah.
They're fifis, but the execution is just so bad. Like it pains me because like there's like so much potential for this show. And it's just thrown out because Ano was just not mature enough.
Yeah, like
Well,
even
he's
the,
never gonna be so.
like Ritsuko likes a guy she could never have, so she hates him. Even the side characters, the secondary or tertiary characters who like someone, never get developed because we have to turn them into liquid. And it's just like, what's the point of all these dramatic scenes if they don't amount to anything? If everyone's just going to die.
It's even worse in the rebuild movies because like they take out some of these side characters to put them in like even lesser roles.
Oh God.
But you get new fan service characters.
That's what pissed me off. I was
Yes.
like, who is this chick with glasses?
Yes, she is literally just a fan service.
Exactly.
Character. She doesn't do anything.
She's like, I'm going to be as spunky as Asuka, as hot as Misato, and I'm going to be awesome pilot number 5 or number 6, whatever it was. And I was like, why? Why do we need more?
Yes. All she is the waifu for Shinji, and I'm not kidding. That's all her purpose is.
Does she have like competitions with Asuka and kicks her ass or something? Like what's?
No. She becomes her partner.
Oh,
She's the quirky magical girlfriend that jumps in through the window and likes you for no reason.
oh God.
No. She comes off with a parachute and then jumps in through the window.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
I know.
Remember was the last episode where it had that 10-minute fake cartoon, not cartoon, but fake high school drama where
Yes, the dream.
the dream, I was like, oh, that might have been fun to watch.
That's like Ano to the audience that like, hey fuckers, I could have made this, but like fuck you. You can watch 25 episodes of this anime.
I would have been okay with, doing a happy, silly high school romance shit with robots and then do depressing shit off the side, like 1 or 2 not the whole freaking show.
And Shinji's like this could be my life, and everyone else tells him that yes. Like, guys, there's like an Earth that's about to explode if you don't do anything about it.
I'm gonna fantasize. Yeah, let's have sex dreams right now. I was like, okay, thanks. No.
Anyway, let's masturbate next.
Do you know?
Yeah.
I have a question. Do you know how involved Ano was with Karikano?
If that's a romance
He
story.
was the director for the first half of it, wasn't he?
Kirikano was pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah.
That's the problem with these guys. Like they're really smart. They have great ideas, and they just have too many ideas. They go, let's try this idea. Let's try that idea. It's like, stop
I
it.
think like he dropped from the project because like what like people kept telling him that like he cool it, and they were questioning his ideas. But the product that he made was really good. Like I've only heard like good stuff about it. And once he dropped out of the project, everyone kept telling me that like, well, it's not as good as like the first half with Ano. I just feel like it's the George Lucas effect. Like he has really good ideas, but if he doesn't have the control, then they just like, well, you get Evangelion.
And when he gets told no too often, he gets frustrated. Which is a natural reaction. It's just you're an artist. It's hard to refine the stuff the right way because you're not just making a sculpture out of a block of marble. This is a different type of art.
There's many moving parts to making an anime. I don't recall a manga for Evangelion before the anime, so I don't know if that was a thing. But
I think it started afterwards and then ran far longer.
Yeah, so if you don't have an original source that the production team, whoever, can look at and go, this is how it should go, as opposed to...
the manga?
Yeah, was it a manga before? I don't think so.
Okay, so it's very strange, but the Evangelion manga was first, but the production for the anime started way before that. So essentially, there was like a manga running parallel to it, but the manga stopped in 2012, I believe. Like very late, much later than where Evangelion stopped.
Yeah,
But it was following the same structure. Like I would say, like the manga is slightly better than the show because they go a bit deeper into like some of the subjects. But essentially, we end up the way it is.
yeah. If we could use an actual argument for an adaptation, we can't apply that to Eva. It just doesn't. There's nothing there, and
It doesn't. It was an anime first, kind of like Cowboy Bebop.
Okay, well, that's sad.
It still comes across as a little unhealthy. Now, before we move on, I want to ask you guys a question. What does the first kiss look like in Evangelion? Yikes. It's awkward.
Don't say that
borderline
word, it's
harassment,
disgusting.
Tense, and honestly,
Harassment?
nothing to put me in the mood. If anything,
What
it
was
makes
that?
me wildly uncomfortable.
It made
Now,
you
when we look at
uncomfortable?
Kamina and Yoko
Misato was
scene-
just torn a little bit.
Hey, whenever like Yoko kisses someone, it's the kiss of death. Like I swear, like everyone she kisses, they die the episode later. Like, just stay away from that woman. Run away.
You think it would be the 50 caliber rifle on her back that would do you in? No.
No. It's a subversion.
You must love only androids, and then you'll be happy.
That's what we are gonna use against Skynet.
That's what we learned in this show.
Kamina was a good character. Man.
Yeah.
Wow. Much better. You get your man, Yoko.
Okay, but like those completely different contexts, and I can't believe I'm actually defending Eva. But Kaji was having a relationship with Misato way before the events of Evangelion, so they can't do that. It's not like a man forcing himself upon like a helpless woman.
Yeah, there's still
But,
there's still a spark between them that they're not really sure. Like, I kind of want to, but it went bad last time. But I kind of want to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
that's
both
how
of
you
them
get
want
exactly that scene.
And
That scene is okay.
All the settings are gigantic. There's like no one in a room. There's so much space. It's like there's no one here in the hall. There's no one here in the elevator. This escalator goes on till infinity. This room is like everything's gigantic. There's no one here until you go into the apartment. I think that's the only small rooms in Evangelion, and it's like everything feels empty in this show, which is odd. When you're in a giant robot, everything should be big and tightly knit, but it feels empty. I don't know why. So when you have people kiss, you're like, oh my god, they're actually affectionate and fighting and will they, won't they? It's like, oh my god, and that was it. That everything else is like anger and arguing and apathy or silence. And you're like, ugh. The scenes with them dancing, I thought was fun. That was a fun episode because they actually had to work together. They had the was it Twister or the Power Pad? It was some sort of thing they were dancing.
Twister.
Yeah, I thought that was really cute. I thought, oh, this is cool. They're using basic methods to do. I don't know. I can't remember what the musician was, Mozart or.
It was classical music.
Yeah.
I remember that as much.
It was some waltz. I was like, okay, this is cool. And they do these crazy backflips and they're fighting at the same. Like that's awesome. So fun ideas.
It was the final execution of against the fight was a rather short thing.
Yeah, because
it was almost in the back. It was almost as a side gig, as a
Right.
background.
Because whenever Shinji prepares for something, or usually he's too nervous and he screws it up. But when he's with someone and they're helping him out and he's working together, things work out. And I thought, okay.
Yeah, he was hyped up for that one.
Yeah, and it was all like everyone was together working and it all worked out in the end. I'm like, this is good. This is the story you want to tell. I don't care if they lose at the end or...
That could and should have been the turning point for his character.
You'd think. he connected with a friend who's also a comrade, who's also a girl who kind of likes him, kind of like the tsundere, whatever attitude Asuka has. And there's Rei in the background because she's too injured or whatever. I don't remember. So it was like, oh, this is a good, healthy thing. Like, yeah, it's good stuff. But no, back to depression. He's alone again. He has no friends. Okay, fine, whatever.
Now, most of you probably think Gurren Lagann doesn't even really address sex. I mean, it's not in this series explicitly at any point. But just because there is no sex doesn't mean there is no sexuality. I'd argue
That was a
if
panty shot.
anything,
That's-
Gurren Lagann fully
Are you
Minor.
fan-fictioning
far more than its
your
spiritual predecessor.
hentai
There's a
episode, or
reason
what are you
Yoko dresses
doing?
like a stripper. You know, but besides getting horny teens to watch this show. And there's a reason Kamina
Why
and
does she dress like a
Simone
stripper?
also walk around half naked. It's because here they are expressing sexuality rather than repressing.
I think he's just sexist.
What is he talking about? She's wearing a bikini and low-cut jeans because
Revealing clothing.
that's their sexuality. No, that's all they get. That's all the clothing they could find.
He's slut-shaming.
The other thing is that it's really fucking hot in the desert.
This is it. Yeah, you don't have sweaters.
Also, like, come on, like this is the type of anime where the female characters are not gonna be well dressed.
Yeah,
They gotta show those boobs.
most of the animations are giant muscular robots beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
You need some women to mix it up just to have for the sake of it.
Yeah, and in the desert you do two things. Either very light clothing when you're in the shade, or you wear some cloak to stave off the sun. Shouldn't be a dark one. If you like desert-themed anime with action and weird shit, besides Trigun, watch Desert Punk. It's at least it passes the time.
Okay, it is adult, yeah.
Sexuality. It isn't weird or shameful for them to walk around shirtless. It's awesome. In some ways, it's a middle finger to Evangelion for acting like this stuff is something to be shameful of. And
What?
speaking
You
of
were
middle
just
finger,
shaming the
watch how
clothes.
these two shows handle the rules of their universe and exposition.
Nudity is not sexuality. It's just
Mhm.
not having clothes.
Yes.
He has to build the argument that there's a distinction between these different modes of dress and
Oh yeah, like you can clearly see that Evangelion is trying to set itself up as grounded and like more realistic. Gurren Lagann is very obviously just like it's just like over the top. It tries to be as crazy as possible. It's not really trying to bound itself with realism. Like the major thing that I really liked about Evangelion is like the animation, like the mecha fights. They're just so grounded. It feels like there's physics to it, like how they move and such. It's really also expressing itself through like the characters, like how they are written, how they act.
yeah,
Very close to people, but it's just like so boring because of all the drama.
yeah. Once they get into the robots, they have the 99-second time limit or whatever it is, and then you realize
And they keep it. Like the animation is actually keeping it. Like when they say 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes.
And then you realize that gigantic umbilical cord is like smashing around on the ground while they're running and jumping,
Yes,
which is crazy.
and that's the cool part of the show.
It's like smashing into like, well, I don't know if they show it all, but that thing's like hitting buildings and trees and just like running around the
They do.
ground.
They do show.
I don't remember.
You don't wanna live there.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
think
crazy.
the second fight when Shinji does is like he fucks up and the cord is just going all over the place.
So it's very science fiction-y. It shows off all of the way the things work. There's all this techno jargon, stupid things like guns are in buildings and they come out, but it's all like, oh my god, you only have a minute and a half to defeat an angel when you get unplugged.
Yeah. Compare that to Gurren Lagann, where they are like, oh, I have a spiral key. Why am I gonna do with it? Just turn it around and it's gonna like combine with this other robot. Okay.
The same with the he has no energy because he needs food, but they're starving. So what's that stupid rodent? Take my ass. He eats his ass, and it's like he now has energy to fight. Like,
Yes.
so silly. But that's Gurren Lagann. It's fun. It's supposed to be fun and goofy.
It's supposed to be complete different story.
Yeah.
Is it the middle ground between NGE and Furikuri?
No. Fooly is like a lower budget Eva with fun and just crazy personalities and well, I don't know. Music is good.
It's a better coming of age story than Evangelion.
Oh god, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although it's no contest.
It's like 6 episodes or something. It's very short.
Yeah, only 6 episodes, but I think like all of them are like 40 minutes long.
Yeah,
Kind of like a TV show.
Yeah, they're good. They're fun to watch. The music's fun. The action's fun. Characters are weird and interesting. And
It goes somewhere.
It doesn't-
has an ending.
it doesn't waste your time. And I really like the design of the robot he turns into.
Don't
All
watch
hands.
the sequels though. They don't exist.
Yeah.
The manga only has 2 volumes, right?
Furikuri?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
I
have it
used
over on
to
my
know
shelf,
a
but
guy.
I only read it once, and it
I-
confused me a bit. by the
I
end.
used to know a guy. He was probably like the biggest Furikuri super fan ever. Like he kept telling me that he watches Furikuri every day,
No,
like every single day, and he watched it with every single dub that he can find, and he owns all the merchandise. I was
Whoa.
like,
that's insane.
like he had that obsession with that and music. Like he had this idea that he wants to own all the music in the world, and I think he actually managed to do that.
All the Furikuri music, you mean?
Not just the Furikuri music.
Oh, all music? That's not possible. That's
All
constantly
music.
new music.
Mm.
How do you? Okay, how does he own the open blah license music?
No, no.
You can't own it. It's free.
But like he had, I think I saw a video of his like decades ago. And it was just his room, and it was full of CDs. Like he couldn't enter his room because it was full of CDs. That's insane. He was an actual person too.
Lucas Koval says Xenogears is better than
Anime
Evangelion.
fans. I mean, is it really a contest?
It's not really a contest, no.
I mean, we don't have a crazy philosopher to talk about Xenogears, but
Yeah, look. The thing with Evangelion setting the bar is it's lying there on the ground.
There's a famous
You
line.
raise it by picking it up.
I don't know if you guys remember GameSpite or Toasty Frog. That's made by the journalist Jeremy Parrish. He had a famous line, at least I remember, that after Eva, dumbness comes. And anything that tries to emulate Eva, like Xenogears, is dumb in its own capacity. Like, there's really stupid shit in Eva. The ending especially. Imagine stretching that out and having like transforming cutesy bears that end their sentences with the letters chew being crucified in giant like Godzilla form.
Come on. The Xeno series always needs this stupid cutesy thing that is just completely what's the word? It's antithetical to the seriousness of the
I
world.
guess, but that's the one that makes sense because all the other robots are crucified. And why would you crucify a robot? Like, it makes no sense to do that to a robot.
why not? Why not?
At least,
Eva did that, so they probably know.
but at least Choo Choo
looks
was a
cool.
creature. The stupid thing with Choo Choo is she could shrink. So, like, it does, like, what are you doing on a cross, you idiots? Like, what is happening? Like, it's so dumb. Everything. There's lots of other dumb scenes, but that once you see that, your brain just goes, "What am I looking at?" So yeah, Eva caused all this to happen. So I blame Eva for it.
Look, but that shit is at least deliberately dumb.
I don't
Eva
know.
is not deliberately
I can't
dumb.
say. I honestly, because there's lots of great moments in Xenogears like Eva. It's just stretched out between a 40 or 30 hour game, I think. That is fun.
One third is missing because they were pressed to release this fucking shit now. We don't give you more money, but I still need the third CD. No, release.
There are great moments.
I think that would be funny if ever there comes a remake, re-release. If Nintendo gets to that, they put that on the Switch as well.
It's so contrived. It's
that they'll say, hey, Monolith, we got the license.
Oh my!
Do you want to finish your game from what was it, 20 years ago?
Must
30?
have been the 90s. Yeah,
20 years. Yeah, that would be interesting if they'd be allowed to add the content they wanted to put in.
It's another protagonist with memory or amnesia, who has a split personality, who in their previous life did something and that caused something else, and then someone discovered immortality, and there's some scientific reason why that happens. There's some energy modifying thing, and you're like, what is going on?
Jesus.
Who ends up becoming Jesus, who marries the Blessed Virgin, who also is a reincarnated of, it keeps going. And you're like, oh God. So,
look, the Xeno games, they play around with this silly, cutesy other creature thing. In Xenoblade, you have them as everything serious until you have scenes with the Noppons. They just do random anime cutesy bullshit. Like building giant robots to pilot and fight you as bosses, and like everyone's like, "What the fuck is this? What are they doing?" The characters have trouble taking the Noppon seriously, and if you follow a specific quest line, that where you uncover the secret Noppon shrine, you learn the truth about the Noppon race, and that is that because they're a merchant race essentially. And the secret history is that the ancient Noppon, I forgot the name, he figured out that his sales massively increase if he starts acting all cute and speaking in the stupid way that where he adds syllables, weird cute sounding syllables, and just makes cutesy versions of the people he's speaking to. And that then spread throughout Noppon culture. And that's why Noppon all act this stupid, cutesy way. It's a marketing trick.
Yeah, well, the Japanese desire for prefixes or suffixes at the end of sentences, it's just like, oh my God, stop it.
I just love that they put in that this is a marketing trick. It's not, we weren't like this for real. We just adopted it because it sells more.
Yeah, well, we should probably watch Razafon to see these differences between what Eva did and what other ideas with robots that are not necessarily end of the world stories, but were a lot of that
because Razafon tries to be serious, which Evangelion tries to be serious.
Well, it's always serious. It's just like, the only thing that's cool about it is when you have those fun episodes that allow you to enjoy some joy out of the whole experience, where you play with the personalities and try to poke them so they go somewhere, and they do, which is nice. Like, there's no need to have a penguin. There's no reason for a penguin in Evangelion. There's no reason.
Oh, it's giving an environmental message.
I don't even know.
Eat the penguins.
Merchandise?
I don't. That's the mascot? I don't know. It's just stupid. Anyway.
He's the comic relief.
He has an ice dispenser. Or
I was hoping that it would play off in the rebuild movies, because they still have Pan in there.
Yeah.
Like that they're turning Pan into like kaiju to battle the angels, but it never happened. I was so disappointed.
Giant penguin. That's great. Anyway.
新色だそうです。この上のタンパク壁。
無菌状態維持のためオゾンを噴出しているところは汚染されていません。
ロジックモードを変更。シンクロポーズを15秒単位にして。
月軌道上にある地球螺旋族の機関カテドラルテラ、その力を引き出すのは全て螺旋力、進化しようとする力のこと。有性生殖による遺伝的多様性こそが進化の鍵。つまり恋が宇宙を変えるってこと。
See, that actually makes sense. The stuff that Evangelion was saying was absolute bullshit. It's absolute
Yes,
nonsense.
because like they never base it on anything. They just can't.
The protein
There are a
layer?
few things.
What the hell's a protein layer in a base? What are you talking about? Ozone? For what?
Bacon?
Treating the air? What are you doing with ozone? What's happening?
Bacon?
I don't know what they're doing.
There's a hole on it. We need to fill it.
Yeah, with Gurren Lagann,
Bacon.
the whole idea is that life is a spiral, and that's what the double helix represents, and it's the uniqueness of life, and that what causes twists and turns, and that's the shape of the genome, or how it's stored. And he's like, it's all about how affection between the sexes works. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah. It's overly complicated, but it has a basis in science. That's what science fiction does. With Evangelion, it's just or technobabble with a little bit of psychology that is also psychobabble. That makes no sense. Like, they invent AT fields. Okay, cool idea. And that's it. Everything else is just complete nonsense. Like the three brains. Was it a quantum computer? Whatever the hell Ritsuko has, her mom made. Is like, what is this thing? It's powered by brains. It's a computer, but it's your mommy. Why? Like, okay, cool, but doesn't really do anything spectacular. Aside from being a supercomputer, which you could just use any computer. There's all kinds of nonsense and techno jargon in Eva. When Shinji gets captured or whatever, and he's hurt, and you're like, what? What do you have to do? Save his life from something or other? Like, okay, I got that much. Other than that, no idea what's going on.
Evangelion gets wrapped up in the particulars and absorbs so much screen time in its own science. Gurren Lagann essentially says, who gives a shit how any of this works? We don't care. You don't care. We want to watch robots beat the shit out of each other.
Well, okay, you can make the argument for science fiction and sci-fi. The stuff that Gurren Lagann does explain at least makes sense. It doesn't go into detail, but there's a basis for understanding shapes and I don't know if you want to talk about the selfish gene theory by Dawkins and why life evolved the way it did. Gurren Lagann doesn't really touch that, but if you understand that, it's like, okay, I see where they could have jumped with that. It makes from one theory, you take that, you make science fiction out of it, that's fine. But the purpose
is metaphorical enough.
The purpose is not for science fiction. It's used for sci-fi to get the plot going, to get people fleshed out as to what the world is all about. And what could possibly be this magical drill key that what's his name has. So that's enough. It's enough to get things going. With Eva, there's all these scenes and episodes where it's like, I don't know what they're talking about.
It tries to bring consistency and seriousness into it with things like explaining, here we analyzed the corpse of the angel and the DNA is 99.98% identical with that of us humans. So we could have turned into that if evolution had gone differently and things like that.
Yeah, the best thing I liked was the synchronization rate, where it tells us that there's a connection between the machine and the pilot. That was probably the best thing. That made sense. Because okay,
that made sense.
Yeah, because you have to train, you have to focus, you have to get better, and you're thinking, this is the goal of the story. We have to get these pilots who are 70-80%. We got to get them up to whatever to fight the angels. If not, we're all going to die. And it's like, that's a good plot. It's a good basic numerical thing that you're constantly watching. And all of a sudden, Asuka starts sucking. And then all of a sudden, Kaoru comes in. His synchronization rate is like 98 or whatever. And it's like, oh my God. So that happens in 2 episodes, though. It's just mostly forgotten. And then the synchronization rate drops when they get hurt and all this other stuff. And you're like, okay. but it never really, it's never a goal. It's just sort of, it would have been a good goal, and it just, goes nowhere.
But honestly, that's all minor stuff. To me, the biggest refutation comes in the form of this guy right here. Kamina. Before we come to understand why Kamina is so important, I think we should compare the two series' protagonists, Simone and Shinji. Simone and Shinji are both younger teenagers, on the cusp to come of age. We witness both of them get sucked into a conflict they didn't ask for, live in the shadow of the competent people around them, and continually struggle with self-confidence and doubt. They both start as the type of characters where, if they felt they could be doing anything else, they probably would be. The only thing which continually compels them to return to fighting is the people around them. Yet despite similar starts, Simone and Shinji end as completely different characters. And the difference can be understood most well in the difference between Kamina and Misato. At early points in both series, the protagonists try to run away from their duty. In Evangelion, when Shinji tries to leave, he is met with scorn, shame, and an angered indifference. Misato says, "I don't give a shit. Do what you want. Doom this city if you goddamn please." And Shinji almost goes through with this, on several occasions. Much like how a child can grow up with low confidence due to the way a parent raises them, Shinji is not encouraged with love to take up his duties. He is only punished with exile if he chooses to.
Okay, but you're asking a kid to be a soldier. Okay.
Yeah.
That
was an aspect of Evangelion that, Shinji is handling it as if a little 14-year-old was asked to drive a mecha, the game oh god, I want to. Also, we have just seen the scene that Shinji did witness that his mother was consumed by that machine. So he knows something about it. He's not unaware that what is this?
Yeah, maybe it's a repressed memory, but yeah.
So I get the idea that he's scared to do this because it's a big nasty weapon of death. But he knows full well no one else can do this except for Asuka and Rei is usually out of commission, and Asuka's sometimes out of commission. So it's dude, you're our only hope. No pressure, but we're not going to force you into it, nor are we going to baby you because this is serious. And I think that's fine.
By the way, I always had trouble with this frame. Can you guess why?
How the hell do you get in there?
Yes! There's no gate. There's no door in this fence thing. You have to either climb over it or jump around the side of it. What is this for?
It's a cell.
Yeah, I know what it metaphorically shows, but this is just this. No, okay, how do you get in and out of there? You have to jump over the tracks.
Yeah, so the idea,
do a little spin.
The idea of Misato not babying Shinji and saying, "Listen, this is a really adult thing I need you to do, but I can't force you to do it. If you don't want to do it, that's up to you. But we're all going to die." That's a pretty big thing to lay on a kid's shoulders. You can't just go, "Please do this, please," or we're all going to... You can't scare the shit out of the guy. You have to tell him, "Listen, this is what's happening. If you don't do this, this is what's going to happen." And he finally figures out, okay, I should probably do so. I'm the only one. I need to step up. And he reluctantly goes that far. And Misato is giving him all the space he needs. Because how do you force a person to be a soldier? You can't. You could try. You could conscript people, but people who don't want to do it will run away. And that's what he's doing. So this, at least the way it's done, the way it's handled, because Misato is a military person. She's not stupid. she could beat the shit out of him and throw him into the robot and whatever, but that's not gonna do much. It's not gonna.
I'm not sure. Maybe that would wake him up.
He might be encouraged, but I have no clue. I don't think that's the way to do it. She's trying to be as ethical as possible.
The thing, see, but that's the thing. We've tried everything with Shinji. Why not beat him up?
Apparently,
that's the one thing we haven't tried.
Apparently, watching girls who are injured already try to get into a robot is enough to get him to get into the robot. So maybe just need
there's compassion in him. Yeah,
get some more girls who are beaten up. And I can't do it, Shinji, help me. And he's like, okay, and he gets in the robot. Like maybe like 2 rays. That's all he needs. Like one ray is like constantly hurt, and they switch. So the other ray, he's like, how did you get healthy? What happened? Yeah, maybe that'll work. I don't know.
To abandon his cause. Simone also has a similar moment early on, but rather than shame him for being scared, Kamina aims to inspire him. He says to Simone, "You aren't running away from this because I need you. I won't let you do that. And you can bet that I will also play support to you." The relationship here is clearly much less distant. As an interesting thought experiment, I want you to imagine Kamina is placed into Evangelion, and he meets the main characters. As they act cold and distant, Kamina would respond with confusion. He would.
I think there's a video game. I think that the Super Robot Something Wars.
Tizen.
Yes. And there's a crossover between Gurren Lagann and Evangelion. And Kamina and Shimon encourages Shinji to get over his shit.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Yeah, no, this is, I mean, if take the friends from school, in Shinji's school, they're really enthusiastic about.
They are, yes.
So that's it. And one of them ends up becoming the 4th or 5th child or whatever. I can't remember what number it is.
Yes.
The one in the black jumpsuit, I forgot his name.
Yeah, I don't remember.
The ever gets hijacked by an angel, so he just drops out from the story entirely.
Yeah, so we have characters in that, but the story's not about that. Because of course there's going to be fanboys and people who are like, why wouldn't you get in this amazing death machine and try and save the world? And for Shinji, it's not about
rip
that.
Giant aliens into organic blah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So there's all this natural urge to use a tool to do something amazing, which I think piloting an Eva would be pretty crazy cool, but it'd be scary as hell. It would be terrifying. And that's all Shinji sees. He's totally scared. I don't know what to do. This can't be possible. I'm just a kid. And that's fair. That I get. That is like he's scared. At the same time, he should be smart enough to know that he's only one of 3 kids that can do this. And he already knows from the first episode that Rei is not ready. And Asuka is either not there, or she's going through withdrawal, or she's injured. I don't know. She's too gung-ho. Sometimes she can't do it alone. So it's like, dude, this is life. I'm sorry to say, that's all you've got. So the human aspect is great. You're scared. I totally get that. And I don't recall exactly what Misato said to the guy, but it should have been more along the lines of, you do realize you're our only hope. You're the only guy who can do this. And that's before she knew about the whole dummy plug project and whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't blame Misato. I don't blame Shinji. At the same time, someone should have encouraged Shinji to, like, come on, point out the obvious truth. We're either all going to die, or you're going to be our hero. Or you could die as a result trying to save us. But yeah, it's like, okay. Really, really bad setup for sure, but them's the breaks, right?
Call them out for their depressing behavior and tell them to lighten up. As Shinji would stand scared in front of the Eva for the first time, Kamina would laugh and just push him into it.
And punch him.
A character like him could likely snap everyone into a new mode of thinking and restore morale through his motivational speeches. To put it simply, Kamina is the ultimate manly hype man. But of course, I've danced around something large in the previous paragraph. The real reason Simone undergoes a dramatic character change, and the elephant in the room for anyone who has watched Gurren Lagann, is that Kamina dies. Following Kamina's death, we witness Simone break down and enter a very similar state of depression to Shinji in the early episodes of Evangelion. And understandably so, his best friend got murdered in front of him due to his own ineptitude. While this almost pushes Simone to abandon fighting, he ultimately realizes that since Kamina is gone, someone has to step up and lead Team Lagann. He knows he can never be Kamina, but he doesn't have to. He is Simone. And by that point, Simone is good enough to lead the group. In other words, he has accepted his role, gained his confidence, and come to terms with his place in the world. Shinji never gets such an arc. Now while...
So she said Misato needs to die earlier. Is that the message?
No, Misato should be more inspirational and charismatic, but like she already has like so much burden, like starting with the father that wasn't really there for her. There's like a small parallel between Misato and Shinji, because both of them have like father figure that were very similar. Like the father figure didn't really care for either of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Misato was
then in
old
the
enough
final
that she
moment,
could
the father figure saves Misato by putting her in that capsule.
Yeah, and
to survive the atomic bomb.
And Shinji's dad never cares. Shinji doesn't go back to his friends. He literally runs away. He doesn't go to talk to anyone. He just tries to get on the metro to get the hell out of there. So it's like, well, whose fault is that at that point? If you're trying to scare a kid, you're doing a pretty good job of not encouraging him and explaining how dire the situation is.
Yeah, the thing is, Misato is old enough to realize the parallel between her own story and what she sees happening to Shinji. But all she does is this pseudo-caring.
Yeah, no, she's not the greatest friend, military leader, etc. At the same time, though, it's like, okay, I'm not going to force this kid, even though that's the right thing to do, because we're going to die otherwise.
We have no fucking choice.
Yeah, exactly. Which is sad, but that's what military does. They do bad decisions.
That's what war is.
Yeah.
Misato does ultimately die at the end of Evangelion, Shinji doesn't directly witness it. And not enough time passes after this incident to understand how this might have impacted his character. Had Misato died in episode 12 or so, would Shinji have been more inspired to fight?
No, that's not enough.
Yeah.
Ultimately, this is speculation.
Not without the inspiration. He would just have gone depressive more.
Misato never inspired Shinji. She chastised him. She berated him. She expressed extreme disapproval. But she never gave him a sufficient personal reason to fight. The difference in how Simone and Shinji develop from relatively the same place is not an internal difference in reaction, but an external difference in their interpersonal relationships with those close to them. If you put Kamina in Misato's place, and Misato in Kamina's place, it's likely Shinji would end up being more confident and competent, while Simone would ultimately retreat into cowardice. While we're on character analogs, let's discuss two more characters with parallel roles.
In regards to
Yoko
Shinji,
and
I wouldn't
Asuka
argue
is an
with
interesting
that.
one, because while I'd say they largely fall into the same archetype, they pretty much exist at opposite spectrums of the term tsundere. Yes, Asuka is very cold to Shinji, and Yoko is very combative to Kamina. But right off the bat, it's very obvious that Yoko has feelings for Kamina, and while they bicker or occasionally annoy one another, you never get the sense they actually dislike each other. Yoko is annoyed by Kamina, but she likes to be annoyed by Kamina. Compare this to Asuka, and my god is there a stark difference. Asuka can be fucking brutal to Shinji.
Yeah, it's because these are different types of tsundere. I'm not even sure whether Asuka really fits that trope, because I don't believe she truly likes Shinji.
No.
That is just I don't see it.
That is
He's
really
around.
forced.
They're around each other, but that's out of circumstance. She doesn't like him. I think she despises him through to the end.
Yeah, it's
Like,
even hard to
Asuka
say.
is like perfectly fitting into the crazy girlfriend role.
Yeah, she has binding issues. She is if she has abandonment issues like mad, that's why she may, for a moment, go to the only guy who's around. That's not because she likes him.
Yeah, and Rei is, well, she likes the first Rei likes Shinji to a point because he saved her life. But after that,
Yeah, it's someone who actually cares about her. Gendo doesn't really care about her.
Yeah, it's
He-
like there's
he has
nothing,
an entire basement full of plays.
there's nothing there at to begin with. So it's like, okay, when she dies and she gets replaced, you're like, yeah, that's all pretty much the same. There's really no difference. She's not as sentimental as the prior one, so it's like, okay, yeah. She's not human. Or there's a lack of humanity there. You cannot.
Tyler McDonald says Yandere, but she hates you. That would just be a psycho killer.
Yeah. It's kind of weird how there is no personality for Rei. You think there is, but how do you gauge that? She's just a body. She's a soulless being. She's an automaton to a point.
Mm-hmm.
So at least with Asuka, she's screwed up and violent, and she has some passion in her, but we don't know. I don't think she's capable of a relationship. That's the kind of the weird thing. Which is fair because this is a story about destroying these angelic beings, which is not exactly the most romantic scenario. It's not like you could develop bonds of friendship as a result of fighting together, but it's soul crushing what happens in this story. Like Asuka has no support group. She feels useless half the time. She gets destroyed professionally and physically, and then she ultimately almost gets killed. And all she's got is this wimp. That's it. She's got this guy who's kind of there.
Who needs support himself and doesn't have any.
Yeah.
And then he gets this violent bitch around that
And she thinks she has a superiority complex, and then she gets worse, and then she has an inferiority complex, and they're like, oh my god. So yeah, not the greatest relationship.
Calling him weak, incompetent, a loser.
On my planet, I am kind of a loser, like you.
There really is just this sense of jealousy and vitriol that forms their toxic bond. Whereas Yoko may not express her feelings well, but ultimately accepts them, Asuka's envy takes over her entire personality. She won't let herself say how she feels to Shinji because she refuses to acknowledge that weakness in her character. That she can't attain perfection on her own, and that someone might be better at her job than she is. This toxic, horrible, and unhealthy expression of her emotions is part of the reason Shinji ultimately tries to choke her at the end of Evangelion, in a horrifying and striking final shot, I might add. Can you imagine any of Yoko's allies in the series coming to choke her out? I can't imagine that happening for 3 seconds.
Oh, because
And
it's
I think
technically
that
a more classic
fundamentally
story.
speaks about how different Yoko and Asuka are, despite technically occupying the same trope. Oh, and before you guys misinterpret
I
this or
disagree
take me
that
out of context,
that she's tsundere at all. They just mistake that for.
finally,
I think they just
let's get to
mistake
the two
Asuka
characters
being
who
an
serve a
asshole
similar
with being
thematic and
tsundere.
story role. Rei and Nia.
What?
Two characters who have trouble expressing
No.
their emotions that
Oh,
appear
God.
human, but in reality are not. Two characters who are portrayed giant and naked against the backdrop of space at the end of the story. And
Oh,
two
God.
characters who are literally the key to the series' climax and finale. So what defines the differences between Rei and Nia? Well, in some ways it's everything. Nia is someone who
Nia has like real purpose, like in the story wise, but like Rei is literally the catalyst to start the third impact. Third impact? Yeah, okay.
The
Because
apocalypse.
it's just a TV show. Yeah. If if you take it out, that you have like no show. Like she is the MacGuffin. Nia is just the wife of Simone. Yeah. I think like they're just like torturing her, the Antispirals, because why not?
Yeah, this is not a comparison I could make. If he's going to say they're the same role, I'm like, no, they don't follow.
They both have blue whitish hair.
Yeah.
Nia is an actual person. Rei is a human clone body with the spirit of God.
And the blank personality.
She is essentially Lilith. It's just like they put the spirit inside the clone body, so like the actual Lilith body isn't going to outgrow and like consume humanity.
Or something. We're not exactly.
Or something. Like we never explained.
However they even achieved that, but okay.
Yeah, I know. Then there's the whole.
They never explain it. Ambiguous.
The mother genetics and that everyone's disposable. And you're like, what the fuck? What do you need?
If an angel and a human body, like Lilith, combines together, then everything explodes. Okay. But that happens at the end of Evangelion. Just don't think about it.
Yeah, no, don't bother.
But Adam in the hand of Gendo.
Sure.
Must reach to the pussy. That's where the genes are.
I don't even.
That was so inappropriate.
Who knows what was happening last episode? No one knows what's going on. It's like, hey, animation. They're not real people. They're just drawn objects. We could pass objects through skin and bone and tissue like it's water. Like, yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, we're only using Nia as like a bait for the humans. That like, you want to save her? Like, come to us. Otherwise, we just got to continue torturing her.
Yeah, well. Okay, that's a bad comparison this guy's making, but let's see what he has to say.
Endlessly, but whose words are confusing. While Rei is someone who is quiet and precise in her language, but rarely lets anyone peek into her mind. Both these characters are constantly misunderstood by those around them, but where Rei reacts with indifference, Nia will prattle on with jargon until the person she is speaking to understands what she is trying to say. This again reflects the tonal difference between the shows. Shinji's relationship with Rei is stilted and awkward, but admittedly has its heartfelt moments. Whereas Simone and Nia's relationship is pretty much just made as cute and lovable as possible. Just look at them. Adorable. I'll admit I didn't see this connection at first. It wasn't until Nia was displayed against the moon in some weird alien form that it clicked for me how these characters were thematically similar.
Are you retarded? Really? The ending credits where she's spinning like a top and reflect. Are you? No, that's not even a thing. That's just visual.
I think there's another shot in like the first time when Rei has to work with Shinji. She is standing in front of the moon. But yeah, like the moon is an actual plot device in Tengen Toppa, not.
Yeah, they have a backdrop that's the same. Therefore, they're the same. Are you retarded, sir? What are you talking about?
They haven't really used the moon. I think they used the moon in the Rebuild movies, but like other than location for some of the Evangelion tools, it's not really utilized. They just like it feels like an afterthought. Like, oh, let's put these characters on the moon. It's gotta look cool.
I thought it was because the theme song was "Fly Me to the Moon," so they put a moon in the background. That was it.
So Gando's gonna go to the moon. Except they never used that song again.
Yeah, Gendo likes lounge music. Therefore, let's put a backdrop for the moon because one of the lyric words in that is "Fly Me to the Moon."
Oh, actually, someone was obsessive enough that they found like the actual songs that were playing on the Walkman. So,
wow.
If someone wants to go through the playlist.
Oh fuck.
No,
I don't want to know what Shinji is actually listening to.
Let's not be depressed together. It's not
70s and 80s like jazz music from Japan.
Oh god.
Anyway.
No wonder he's insane.
Yeah.
Look, I know I'm dumb, okay? This is the most obvious thing if you think about it for more than 3 seconds. I just wasn't seeing it. I was too busy taking notes on literal events to see the full picture. I'm so sorry.
And speaking of the moon, I don't need to explain this connection, do I?
Yes, you do.
That's called homage.
What?
In Evangelion, we fly to the moon. In Gurren Lagann, the moon flies into us. Now, with many of the differences I have mentioned thus far, one factor
Take
to
your
account for these
schizomeds.
which should not be neglected is the difference in genre. Evangelion is a science fiction show, and Gurren Lagann is an adventure fantasy.
I wouldn't call Evangelion a science fiction show when you get technobabble. Okay? In Star Trek, you get technobabble that explains what's going on, and you have some
The
understanding.
tachyon beam.
Yeah, like you understand that that is something that's deadly. In Evangelion, you get stuff, but you're like, what are you doing? You're transferring logic modes? What the fuck? Who's doing? What is that going to do? How does that? Like, what are you trying to achieve? It's bizarre. The only thing you understand is that there are some angels who get to a certain point, they can dig into the ground, and there's these layers of shielding that gets broken. You're like, oh, okay. They're breaking through steel hunks of metal that are so strong, but the angels are strong. You're like, oh my god, that's crazy. And it takes like a day or so, or 2 days, or however long, and the angel's still there drilling away. And they haven't figured out a solution yet because they have these massive shields that just deflects everything. And they have like these stupid names like Sandalphon, the angel of earthquakes or whatever. And you're like, okay, I guess he's good against the earth or something. That's it. Everything else is religious symbolism and technobabble. That's like everything else makes no sense.
It's the reason one show looks bleak and desaturated, while the other is one of the most beautiful pieces of animation ever conceived.
Is it like the first half of Gurren Lagann? You see like a desolate wasteland. Nothing is lush and green.
Yeah.
Only like a few oases that you can name, and that's it. And they are trying to combine humanity so they can come over this garbage and like defeat the cause that's like putting them into those holes in the first place.
This is the second half of the last quarter is all when he's grown up and he's leading the people and all that jazz.
Yeah, they establish cities. Population growth happens like a decade after the events of the first one. I think, a decade, whatever. It's like a natural progress. It's kind of cool to see like the good ending, and then you build on like another adventure. Or continuation, to be precise.
Yeah, I usually don't like time skips, but that made sense, and you didn't need to show that progression anyway. You had to get to where he was going with that accomplishment. So it's not like we'll get stronger and we'll try harder and we'll build a city, and it's like that's fine. You could tell that story, but they wanted to round it off. They wanted to have a point.
It perfectly makes sense because like they spend like an episode or two explaining like the progress that they have made, so you don't have to like suffer through all that.
Yeah, whereas the
montage.
When you start getting the last few episodes of Evangelion, there's like all this, like these stupid fake seal angel robots things that like everyone has a spear
the dummy plugs, yeah.
The spear of Longinus, which is like basically just animated anything, whatever you want it to be, and it just cuts through everything, and you're like, okay, what is happening? It gets really silly really quickly, and that's not what you want out of a supposedly science fiction story. You want stuff to be solid and real and heavy and not just changing shape because it's an animation. That's not what we wanted. That's not what we had. We had the angels change shape, not the robots.
That's not to say Eva doesn't look great. It looks incredible at its own gritty style. But Gurren Lagann aims to be sexy and colorful, and it hits the nail on the head in that regard. This is also largely the same reason aforementioned exposition is treated as a waste of time in one show, an important gospel.
So he likes pastel and neon, okay.
Since I've already said the word gospel, let's talk about Religion.
Oh no, let's not.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's always a fun
No.
sentence to hear. Neon Genesis Evangelion translates roughly to New Century Gospel, with gospel meaning good news, and also, of course, a reference to Jesus Christ, the Savior in the Christian religion.
What?
Despite its title,
Don't
Evangelion
ask.
doesn't directly address religion anywhere in the show, at least in an explicit manner. But the themes and logics of religion permeate the characters and events that unfold.
The themes and logic of religion. What are you talking? What do words mean, sir? What are you?
Fucking JoJo has more to do with Christianity than Evangelion.
What the heck? What? It takes stuff all over from Judeo-Christian symbolism or whatever. It says this is Eve, this is Adam, this is that, this is the Holy Sephiroth, this is this, and you're like, what?
I can't believe he watched through all of those interviews with the animators, but he didn't watch the single one where Arno just tells everyone that, like, well, this imagery looked like very exotic for us, so we used it for the show.
Yeah, it's imagery.
There's no religious meaning.
There's imagery and there's words that mean visual things, like the Spear of Longinus. I was like,
Yeah.
what is that? Since when did the spear of Jesus Christ turn into a pole that's the size of a football field? I don't know. It's just us.
It looks like the tool that you use for music.
A tune
to like
fork.
no like the perfect pitch.
Yeah, not tried it, but a bident or whatever. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know.
Oh yes, it's literally just hey, this stuff looked cool. It's not from our culture, and it sounds cool because it's not from our language.
Yeah,
let's run with that.
This is the problem. This is what Evangelion brought to anime and JRPGs and manga. You get this proliferation of just ridiculous terms, not only from religious words, but from countries. Like words and phrases specific to like the UK or Germany or China. They just use that word. And you're like, why did you, like, what is this reference? What does it mean? And they'll throw it into their manga because it sounds cool. And you're like, what? And this,
it's kind of like these new shows, but they use like a philosophical term, but they have like absolutely no idea like what it means.
Right.
It just sounds cool.
The only time that worked was with the Suzumiya Haruhime anime, where she is
Melancholy
literally
of Suzumiya, yeah.
Yeah, she's literally God, but she doesn't know it. And there's all these like the paranthropic principle, I think it was, where reality did not exist until humans perceived it to exist, or someone perceived it to exist. Therefore, God perceived like all this before it has meaning. So that was kind of how Suzumiya is able to do this stuff. That's the theory.
Yeah,
which
she's
is
not allowed to know that she's God because otherwise the world may end.
Yeah, so there's all this interesting, and there's whole episodes dedicated to explaining that. You're like, whoa, okay, that is not fun, but you're building up the explanation how you have a schoolgirl who is God, who brought an angel, or not an angel, an alien, a time traveler, and an Esper, all in the same circumstance.
Alien robot.
Yeah.
and the normal guy. And the whole thing is, because if you realize, if you think about it, if you realize that you are God in the sense that things happen because you will it, and that the exotic things that you will, they are around you and they exist, but just hide from you because you're not supposed to know about it. Because if you realize that it all just exists because you think it, you start thinking about things existing, and that technically nothing exists because you it's just in your mind, and that's why the world ends.
So
if you realize it.
That's just one example. The only other references I can really attribute to what they're trying to do to make some sense would be like the Fate series. So you have heroes from yesterday, like long, long times ago, who have mythical weapons and names of things, and they exaggerate them because it's cartoons, and that's the point. It's supposed to have fun with that. But everything else, I could read. I could actively remember and say, "Oh yeah, this is good." There's none. It's all, I'm going to use Cerberus, and I'm summoning a demon from hell, and it's this cute little puppy, and you're like, "What the fuck? Like what? This is not Cerberus." Like, so there's all these references to stuff from other cultures that manga artists and writers use, and Evangelion did that. Probably not the first, but they did such a bad job because it's combined with the techno jargon that doesn't make any sense.
Techno jargon. Because the technobabble in Star Trek also doesn't make sense. They at times just made it up on the spot.
There are lots of references like antiprotons and tachyons. Like tachyon's probably one of the bigger ones.
Yeah, a few times they try to stay with actual science stuff, but the general technobabble is just bullshit.
Right. So long as you understand...
I am recalibrating the tachyon matrices to synchronize the graviton beam. Okay?
Yeah.
Have fun.
Some of it makes some sense, and that's kind of the problem with Star Trek, not only from TNG era. Well, we can go back to TOS for sure. That was worse. But even with the recent Star Trek, where you have better understanding of science, and they use science fiction, but they water it down so that
there's no
science
in that Star Trek.
The new one is, I said before, is the streamlining of science fiction into sci-fi. So it's the same way Rich Evans explained New Trek. It's for stupid people to feel like they're smart.
Yeah, and that's why it's not science fiction. It's just a show that happens to have futuristic visuals.
Right, and that's fine if that's what you want to do, and that's if it's told well, then great. But it's not Star Trek. It's not smart. It's watered down so the idiot can understand it. Now, this is one scene I remember. That was the second episode of Strange New Worlds where Spock is explaining music theory of all things in a sci-fi show because the aliens communicate with music. And he's explaining, this is a perfect fifth, this is a plagal fourth, and he's explaining the basics of a scale. And I'm like, that's great. But that has nothing to do with the solution. That has nothing to do with what Uhura did or how she solved the problem. So it's like, are you teaching us about music theory, Mr. Spock? And then some other shit happens? Like, I wouldn't waste your time explaining.
Yeah, but he's giving us background knowledge in order to help us explain the concept of what happened.
It wasn't even that. It was.
No,
it wasn't. I honestly don't know why he said that. It was basically Spock. Oh yeah, I know what music theory is. And it's like, but why? Why are you telling us that? Uhura is the linguist expert, and she's humming to herself, and she's not humming a perfect fifth. She's not humming a plagal fourth. She's just humming. And you're like, what?
Was Spock over-interpreting the situation?
No, it was the writers who saw something cool they thought was nice to talk about, and they brought it up, and that is at least better than Evangelion, because Evangelion just makes shit up, and you're just like, what?
Yeah, and here's the great difference to good sci-fi. Honestly, even though it plays comedy in the very hard in the beginning, is the Orville, because that goes through. Here's a concept. Here is a civilization that works differently. Here's a technology that let's look at what impacts does this have on us or another civilization. What problems does it cause? And it leaves the final answer on how to judge all of that open to the audience. That's sci-fi. That's real science fiction. Which baffled me to hell and back, because I thought this was a comedy show. But it's actually more science fiction than New Trek.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, make more.
But believe it or not, Strange New Worlds is actually fun. It's a good show, and it's getting better, which is awesome.
I don't care anymore. Go away.
I'm actually going to do... I decided to do a review of the series because it's actually fun to watch. and it's one of my first.
I don't trust people at this point. They might just be brain broken, just hope that it's good and focus on the one accidentally good scenes and ignore all the shit. And I'm not going to watch any of this to confirm it, because I will not trust any new show until this cultural war crap is over and the communists are beaten back into the holes they crawled out of.
Okay, well, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but
I know.
Believe it or not, the show is good. Amidst all the other new Trek, this is the only thing that's worth watching. So, incredibly. Anyway, let's keep going.
Every impact in Evangelion is described as a mythical event. The characters seem to have an understanding of it that parallels the way religion describes the end times.
Really?
Characters fear of another impact in much the same way Christians fear, or delight in, depending on who you are, the prophecies contained in the Book of Revelations. Now, if what I just said is a stretch to some of you, and you don't entirely agree, I don't...
Was that Berserk we just saw?
Yeah, it was Berserk, the eclipse. The famous eclipse scene.
I don't think people think of the end times as a gigantic explosion or a gigantic chick standing on the earth and bleeding. What?
Or slowly being murdered by demons.
Yeah. Not sure what he's getting at.
You. I'll admit this isn't the strongest argument I've put forth here.
At least you're
self-aware.
self-aware.
The similarities is in the ending. Neon Genesis Evangelion ends with the Instrumentality Project, a project which aims to break down all differences between human beings and coalesce into perfect harmony with each other and the world. Now, Shinji ultimately rejects this, but we'll get to that in a second. I can't speak much for the paradise described in other religions, but the idea of perfect harmony is something which comes up a lot in Christianity. Heaven is described as being a place absent of human emotions and differences, where everyone lives in eternity and happiness. Catholic Christianity purports that...
That's what it claims to. You know what that sounds like to a Viking?
Hell.
Hell. Absolutely. That is hell. There's nothing happening.
What's happening on the screen? This is Christian music?
Eternal boredom. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
I think it might be the video clip of Heaven is a Place on Earth.
Oh.
Yeah, but also since I just brought up the dreaded thing, this kind of eternal harmony, everyone's together, happy, there are no differences between anyone. That's what communists want to achieve. And it can be achieved, finally, through Christian apocalypse.
Fun.
As Neon Genesis Evangelion told us.
Even though religion is the opiate of the masses.
Yeah, I think it's just trying to distract from the fact that it itself is a cult.
Oh, God, yeah. That's what happens when you have bad personalities leading the blind. It's like, what's going on? These broken people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Our goal is to make a heaven of earth.
Whoa.
To take the steps necessary to secure harmony and peace.
I was right.
To make this world as great as possible. In that way, the Instrumentality Project is undeniably inspired from Catholic Christian ideals.
Really?
Now, I'm sure a priest
Communism?
or religious scholar
Come on!
would poke holes in this as Catholicism asks people to willingly
Fate.
choose God, and they'll see this method as
More
cheating or somehow against the rules. But whether
The
it
better
actually
show.
conforms
Come on,
to
bring us
religious
Helsing.
doctrine is not really the point.
The guy is voiced by the same guy who voices Alucard, so...
We definitely
no,
need some
seriously,
vampires.
he plays the priest here.
Funny.
Oh God, we need some vampires, some ghouls.
Kirei, is that's his name?
Kirei Kotomine, yeah.
Oh, he was so fun. He was so insane.
I'm not even sure. In some of the playthroughs, like I think it's the third one, he's not as evil. He's actually trying to help because
He's only evil in the very end where he needs to beatbox. Wait, beatbox?
What?
Because he has a big hole on his chest.
Oh God.
Mm.
I know he saves Ilya in the third Heaven's Feel.
Yes.
Because Heaven's Feel is like the villain is so strong that he can't even. His evil's not evil enough or something. I don't know.
Gilgamesh just gets fucking wrecked.
Destroyed. Yeah.
Just Matthew says a breakdown in the chat over how wrong this is depiction of Christianity is.
Yeah, guys, don't watch Fate and think that's the church. Okay, please don't.
I think Matthews is still going out of breaking down over NGE.
Oh, don't even bother. That's not even worth it.
The point is that given a reading of the Bible, it's understandable how someone could conclude this would be a perfect enactment of those ideals.
Is it?
No. If you've read the Bible, the answer is no. That is insane.
Name dropping. It's name dropping.
Just don't.
Guys, okay. If
this
you're going to interpret any religious text, anyone, I don't care which one it is, I don't care if it's Dianetics or whatever the fuck, you cannot suddenly compare that to Evangelion or some other anime and say this is the perfect world. That's ridiculous. Unless the anime was directly inspired by said religious text, which is going to be interpretive anyway, but at least you'll know what you're dealing with.
Where's the Scientology anime?
We just watch all the Scientologists live it every day of their lives.
No.
That's basically it. So Tom Cruise, John Travolta, who else? I don't even know the other guys.
More Battlefield Earth. Battlefield Earth, the anime.
Oh, boy. Oh. Maybe it'll be better because the show is so garbage.
Because it's written by Japanese.
They might fix it.
We're not Scientologists.
They might actually have fun with it. I don't know.
Japanese Scientologists, my God.
I'll stick
there are a lot of scary combinations.
I'll stick with the
Earth.
the manga depictions of Shintoism with the cute girls and the long black hair. That's more fun.
Oh yeah, definitely.
With the
we need more of that. Always more of that.
The dancing and the fans and the nice little fortunes you get at New Year's. That's a nice religion. That sounds nice.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Don't have to buy Chinese food to get my fortune told. That's good.
In other words, the character's religion and belief that humanity is an inferior species wrought with some kind of sin or flaw leads them to this conclusion.
Really?
What? But the angels want to kill the humans. What the fuck are they gonna do?
Humans are flawed, therefore we must turn into giant ball of goo.
Therefore, we must kill ourselves.
We
Put
must...
our consciousness into ball, like the Borg. Because I saw that episode in Star Trek TNG.
What kind of logic is this? Is he following?
Just give up. Life is not worth living.
Life is worthless. Everyone should die because we're imperfect.
Yay, nihilism!
Yeah, so it's religion of Judeo-Christian is not nihilism. What the fuck?
Hey, and what can you look back onto in your life accomplishments? I founded a cult of nihilists and led it. And so it did accomplish something that you're proud of.
Yeah,
you're right. Damn.
Yeah, the Roman Catholic Church was really a bunch of nihilists. Like, what? Really? I don't know about that. I think that might be different. I don't think Judaism was nihilism either. Wow. What a strange reading there, sir.
Gurren Lagann addresses religion in a much more direct manner. Right from the moment Kamina meets the underground priests, he seeks to dismantle their beliefs. He gets depressed when he sees the priest has unknowingly manipulated an entire town into fear of the outside.
Oh my God, Jehovah's Witnesses.
To face the fears head on, and believe in themselves rather than a higher power. And this is a theme which is constantly reiterated. The value of humanity is declared time and time again, and it's made most obvious in the finale when the human race has to go up against the Antispirals. After rejecting the Spiral King in his traditional way of doing things, humanity is punished with attempted damnation and extinction by the Antispirals.
Was it really traditional? Like, no offense, but like the Antispirals like bullied the king into doing that. He had no choice. If he lets the population go over a certain limit, then the entire human species is gonna go extinct. Like there's no option. What choice did he have in the matter?
Yeah, that was the theoretical limit that humanity begins to destroy itself, or I can't remember what the hell was the...
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Creatures who might as well be gods. But rather than bow down to these godlike creatures and accept their fate, humanity decides they must battle them to secure the future of their species. Even if they are technically inferior, even if their actions push the universe into a more dangerous place, the human race ultimately decides that it cannot be shackled to any gods, and must decide for itself what their duty is. One moment which really epitomizes the difference in these philosophies comes at the tail end of both series. When Shinji enters the Instrumentality Project, he rejects it. He decides that living in perfect harmony, no matter how much better it may seem, is ultimately a farce. Anyone who partakes in the Instrumentality Project is forfeiting their humanity. Therefore, Shinji acknowledges and accepts that the human race must always be less than the universe.
Yeah, but why? Why does he think that? Is there any reason or development why?
Because Anno had a silly script and he didn't finish it.
Yeah, it's like, why did he think this way? All he wants is to have peace and happiness and no longer be depressed. It's like, hey, you could have that over here. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. It's like, why? This is what you always wanted. Like, there's no reason to reject that. He's going to be happy. He doesn't have to pilot a robot anymore. Everyone's all the same. Everyone's happy. What's wrong with you? No reasoning. No build up, no character moments, nothing. It's just, oh, I'm not going to do that because story. And you're like, why? Just You have to have a scene with him strangling Asuka. That's all I could think of. I don't know why.
And Gurren Lagann ends with them combining into a robot bigger than the size of the entire universe, asserting that if we push ourselves to our limits and work with one another, we can literally accomplish the impossible. But this power is only possible because the characters in the Lagann refuse to accept the rules of reality for what they are, and refuse to be bound by some notion of a higher power. The natural outcomes of this is reflected in the state of the species, planet, and universe at the end of both shows. At the end of Evangelion, most of humanity has left the Earth. The planet has transformed into a wasteland. Humanity lives in perfect harmony, but by that point, they really aren't human anymore.
Wait, aren't they the liquid?
They are the liquid. What is he talking about? That's why the ocean... Well, the war is orange colored because it's LCL liquid.
He's confused by the crosses.
Well, we all are, but that's... I mean...
Because
the crosses combine into the goop
somehow,
aren't they?
And
we don't know.
But the crosses combine into the orange goop.
There's so many crosses. I don't like even the angels or the dummy plug things are on crosses for no reason. You're like, what is?
I think the Holy Crusade is going out of proportion. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's too many crosses. I mean,
I think this has got to be enough to retake Jerusalem.
Oh, yeah, probably. Cross for everyone. Every heathen gets a cross.
And they never can grow and learn beyond that final point of the Instrumentality Project. At the end of Lagann, there is no implied perfect harmony or utopian world, but rather, humanity accepts the world isn't perfect, that their power may lead to their demise if they aren't careful. Yet, despite the risks involved, they accept the challenges are worth it anyway, and set out on a new mission to meet alien life forms. It scoffs at Ava. You can't even settle your own differences? We're going to make friends across the galaxy. Because, why not?
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with what Eva is. Eva's just this crazy apocalyptic end goal.
Yeah, you know what I... Yeah, go on.
It's not about making friends and world peace and communicating to aliens. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what is this guy on about?
You know what? I do agree with Dr. Chrisman in the chat. He says, just play Kirby Planet Robobot. It's the same thing as these two animes.
Just play Kirby?
Yeah, Kirby. Dude, Kirby is about amazing visuals and beautiful sights and Lovecraftian god monsters that are absolutely hideous and giving you nightmares if you just think about it. And friendship. And working together.
Most
and horrible Lovecraftian nightmares.
Yeah, most shonen animes have the theme of working together. You're stronger with friends, and you protect your family, like the basic stuff that you would teach kids. So Eva wants to do something more mature and adult and sophisticated, but it just does not know what it's doing because we don't know what's going on aside from a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, Anno doesn't know what's going on. That's the problem.
Why not? Why not discover new life? I don't know. Is that the message of Gurren Lagann? No. It can. It can end on that note for the hell of it, but that's not the message of the whole freaking show. Eva could have had Shinji teleporting or transporting off in a big Eva robot to go find new life or bullshit. Like, we could. Why not? The ending is so bizarre. Why not do that?
Yeah, because it's really the question, what's the point?
What is going on in this story? Exactly, that point. You don't know what's happening.
Yeah, what comes after this? Is it really just a stagnation? Is that what the angels wanted?
Everyone to be together in this giant, what's the I don't know if you guys seen Solaris, where all the aliens are part of this planet, which is basically an ocean planet or energy ocean planet, whatever, and they can just peer into people's minds and know what they're thinking and feeling. Is that what you want? That sort of existence? Is that the point? Why? What's the goal? Like, it can't just be I want to have third impact because that's a thing that angels do. And you're like, what? Is that a...
Where'd they come from?
Yes.
Why? And does this happen on other planets? What is this?
Is that a great flood metaphor? Like, what is happening in this story? Like, what part of religion are you pulling from? Or are you just randomly pulling stuff out?
Do we eventually reset the world by getting out of the goop again anyway?
Do we have more strife when we get out of the goop? Like, is that going to have another angel intervention? Like, what is the message? Existence is to be flattened out into a giant ball so that we're all the same? Like, I don't...
Well, and apparently it's all life on the planet, not just humans.
Yeah, right. Every plant, every dog, every cat, every cricket, everything.
We are all one now.
One big ball of orange.
All the crazy cat ladies are one with their cats now.
Oh, God. Yeah, in the Rebuild movie, it shows that the animals also get transported into the goop. Because I think like they mostly talk about humanity.
There's animal heaven now.
Oh, God.
Animals are just like...
Animals go to heaven. All the locusts.
But
all the
humans
cockroaches.
All right, we got 4 minutes. I hope this guy has lots of credits or something, because this is not the best argument I've heard.
The whole time, this question has seemed to be the key difference.
Oh, I hate this.
Ava asks why, and Gurren asks, why not? Or why are you choosing to see it that way?
What?
Why is sexuality
not?
awkward? Or why does it have to be? Why is everything a constant battle? Why do you want things to be easy? Why are we all so different? Why can't we understand each other? Why would you want us to be the same? Isn't our differences and individuality...
This is not what Eva's doing, though. It
Not
does.
at all.
It doesn't raise these questions. It just says this is what's going to happen, and you're like, what? And then stuff happens to get that ball rolling, and you're like, we got to stop that ball from rolling, and then we get crushed.
Anno wrote those characters in this broken way because it only reflected his own mental state, his own mind. Because he couldn't connect with anyone, he couldn't also write anyone connecting with anyone. When you're in that type of depression, you can't really comprehend how that even works. So by the time, even if he got out of that later on, by the time the anime came to a conclusion, how would he do that if he's still in that state?
Yeah, he's trying to compare the plot of a doomsday scenario with Eva to a bunch of humans struggling for survival to fight their eventual prison warden, whatever, and defeat him so they could have their own freedom or future, whatever.
Would he have needed a second season to do something different with the series? Assuming he would have been able to make a proper ending with the first?
I don't know.
Even if it ended on Shinji is still a craphead?
No, I don't think it would have. There's nothing to write. They could have stretched out the angel attacks to make it more realistic, and I wouldn't say slice of life, but to have it more plot centric, because there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't connect as a story. So that could technically work. You might get some development out of Asuka more. You might get something out of Rei more. You might have cared for her more, because when she's gone and she gets replaced, it's not just, oh, she's Rei again. Only now she's not as caring, or slightly less caring, like she was any caring to begin with. So that would have been, if it was in his style, it would have been so depressing and boring, though. So you have to add conflict with the characters where they don't just run away from it like Shinji does. He has to face it on. He has to get pulled into it. Misato has to have some goddamn gumption and get Shinji to interact with people and try to give them a life. The same with Rei. Rei is just a doll. You got to get her out of her room and have her do stuff. Same with Asuka. Get them out of the room, have them go shopping and do basic stuff. Like, if you're going to go to the slice of life route, it's going to be kind of boring, but at least it's something. You can work with this setting, with the crazy technological retractable city that's the savior of the planet or whatever. But it's like nothing else on the planet exists. It's just this Neo Tokyo, whatever, 3 or whatever, 4, whatever number it is.
I think it was 3.
I can't remember. It's so high level shit without making sense of itself, which is dumb. You don't do that. You don't waste my time with technobabble and make up.
It works on teenagers.
Yeah, well.
When combined, what makes us so great? Why can't humanity move in a constant state of harmony?
Huh?
Why wouldn't you want humanity to continually evolve into something better? I can't stress enough how I think of these shows as companion pieces.
Really?
Two halves of a whole that seek to answer the same questions with different answers. So really, what does that mean?
It means that you should just watch Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann instead of Evangelion.
Constantly embody these ideals and personality traits, but for us, the viewers, the only ones who can experience both these worlds. Watching Neon Genesis Evangelion and Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann back to back is an exercise in perspective. It is an implicit reminder that there are two sides to every story, and that neither one of them may necessarily be right or wrong, only that they both exist.
What?
In reality, there are many sides to every
Is he a
story.
subjectivist?
And this just happens.
He's just saying, hey guys, at the library there are books, and all the books are slightly different. And like, yeah, you're right.
And they all exist, and that's okay, except for the one that the Austrian painter wrote.
This is so stupid. This is not. At the end of the day, it's all about reading books and watching shows that are different. You're like, yeah, Great message. Can you imagine having a book report?
I think he could have brought this to something.
Well, the fact that there are lots of writers out there who write differently,
this is to have this as his final words here is just
wow,
brain dead.
To be a case of two diametrically opposed shows displaying similar conundrums, with the key difference between both series not being the conflict itself, but how the characters choose to handle it. And now here comes the Peanut Gallery's extrapolated advice. Ready? 3, 2, 1. There are always going to be factors you can't control for and things that make life more difficult. But perhaps in adjusting your perspective, you can better manage those brutal blows you might be dealt. Feel sadness when it is appropriate, and fight to claw your way out of depression when it is not.
What?
In essence, if you want to end up like Simone more often than you end up like Shinji...
Fight your way out of depression when it is not appropriate?
No, it doesn't make any sense.
I think you messed up your sentence structure accidentally.
I have a feeling he did not get anyone to read his script.
Look, we're in the final 3 minutes of a video essay. This is where the crazy shit happens. Every time. He's just more laid back with telling it, but it's still the same crazy nonsense that makes absolutely no sense.
It's kind of like he went to university, but he has the mentality of a 12-year-old. And he's using all these words and he's just putting them together, and I'm like, what?
Which is exactly what you need to enjoy Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Well, that's like some guy flipping the pages of the Bible saying, there's a word, I'll use that. And
yes.
Use it for whatever. Ugh.
Control for what is controllable. Embrace the good times as much as you can. Find hobbies and interests that make your life rewarding. And if something suddenly becomes very hard, keep trying at it for a while. It may just be a small bump in the road. Finally, and this is most important, if you find yourself being beckoned back by your estranged father on...
Okay, they were done. This is so dumb. We're wasting our time.
Wait, this is just a minute of more absolute brain-damaging
This
nonsense.
is stupid. There's nothing here. This is...
Watch it in your time. I want to react to this.
It's just random words now. It's amazing.
When you
can probably attain a state of being one with the universe if you keep listening to this, because it just shuts down your consciousness, and then your third eye opens and you will see the in-between spaces and the clockwork elves.
When you are tired, it's okay to go to sleep. But if you're really if you're really pressed for time, you should take a nap. And if a nap
But if you also need to go to piss, take a piss, because being in bed is kind of bad.
Like, this is so stupid.
Memes.
I have a great time. Oh, just when it's getting good.
Shut up.
Good.
Good. What are you talking
about?
You are the people who always want to cover Maggie May Fish.
She's crazy. This is just retarded.
Just like this.
No, this is like, if you're tired, maybe, just maybe, your body's trying to tell you. It's like, no shit, you idiot. The color blue is not as bright as a darker color blue. Like, what the fuck? Stop it.
Hey, I love tautology. It's great. It's never wrong.
Hurts my brain. All right, what do we got here? Oh,
sorry.
no, starting off with the Mein Kampf. Look at that. Holy shit.
No, come on.
Matt Binder, Eric Matheny.
No, I see a Trigun.
I'm old enough to remember when Disney was a company that made children's movies and had a few theme parks. No political or social agenda, just entertainment. And apparently there is this part of that?
Where are you?
Donald?
No, it's
that's from yesterday.
Oh.
That's from last time.
Really? Okay, sorry. Oh, yeah, okay, I'll just go ahead.
Yeah, we talked about the Inspector Gadget, Dr. Claw.
Is that a replica Trigun?
Yes.
Yeah. That is interesting. Nice.
Nice try.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
It's a nerf.
Yes, Genesis Evangelion, getting the effing robot Shinji, getting the effing Lagann Simon. Who the hell do you think I am, Aniki? Oh. Okay. Average nihilism fan. Wow, I fucking hate being alive. Average hope enjoyer. Better future is possible. Splendid.
Yep.
Okay. What is this? Okay, interesting.
It's a strange pose.
Yeah. When I was doing intercourse, I simply felt incompetent.
Hawk.
Yeah, Hawk. Shinji, man the F up. Kaboom, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Give
good
him
ending.
the harsh love he needs. Oh my god, is this sarcastic Hawk? Oh fuck, a woman. What is... Oh, he's Moon Knight? Oh, jeez. Alright. Paying attention to the video to make stream accurate memes or 9/11 memes. Yeah, well, Smudcast has that habit. Wisp mentioning Michelangelo. Smud adding his artistic knowledge. Mark wanting to mention Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
What the fuck?
I love this.
Not a single moment.
Why am I looking at Mark
I
like...
love this.
What the... Oh, boy. Hidekiano, mine... Oh.
He mentioned, like, struggle. I was like, what? What kind of struggle is that? My struggle?
Mine struggle.
Against his Walkman running out of batteries.
Literally the same thing.
His Walkman has, like, an audio book of Mein Kampf.
I'm not sure if you can compare the dumbness that is, or the craziness that is Neon Genesis to the ending boss of Mass Effect 2. I don't think that's... Both are crazy, but they're different types of crazy.
There's gotta be an interview by BioWare where they admit that, like, yeah, we watched, like, Hideaki Anno's work. We really wanted to bring this to the West.
The small talk, I do recall them talking about the ending, like the sketches, like the embryo looking things, like they had a different idea, but it wasn't too far removed from what they ended up with. So I don't think there was much thought put into. So it was just, we want a really cool suicide mission. That was the focus, not the actual thing you had to fight. So yeah, they didn't have much thought in the aliens of the Reapers, or the nature of the Reapers, rather.
Which is fucking sad.
Which
because
is
it's your main
pathetic.
antagonist concept.
They could have done anything, but no, they're just going to make them things that look like the
big
thing.
metal thing that goes boom.
It's a human, bigger human, but he has 3 eyes, and it's like, what the... Anyway, girls in the morning. Oh, that's cute.
Stupid.
Boys in the morning. What the fuck? That is not true. We are like, bleh.
You've never had morning wood?
That's what that's referencing?
Yes.
I don't know about that, but okay.
And sometimes it's fucking painful.
Oh, really? Okay.
Painful.
Chicks
Yeah.
dig giant robots. Okay. This is a real thing that the English VAs for Shinji and Asuka did back in the 90s for radio. I also believe it was done without the permission by the Japanese owners. Check it out after the stream. It's just weird. I think I will. Oh, bye. What is this? Not yet. We're not done yet. Simon, leave this to me. Dodge Charger Overload. Spiral power is strong, but not as strong as family. Oh. Har. When the dude in the video talks religion. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he was on about. Ligma balls. Oh, dear.
It's so sad Steve Jobs died of living.
Who the hell is Steve Jobs?
Wow. What was that?
Ray as Dr. Manhattan.
Is that what she was?
Yeah, like there's the Ligma meme, and it was like with Watchmen footage. So essentially, yes.
I never actually watched the various incarnations of Watchmen in real life, so. And I don't think I ever will. So.
Don't.
Yeah. How Peanut sees himself as a giant ocean beach,
beautiful sunrise,
sunset thing. I don't know what's going on here.
Oh,
how we see him, Kitty. Religion.
Beautiful.
This is what Christianity thinks of the end of the world. No, it doesn't. Not even close. Wow, I thought there'd be more, but thank you guys. That was good.
Thank the Lord.
Yes, we'll call it a night. Boy, let's take it easy. Nice and warm today. I don't know where it is, but you guys are. It's nice warm weather.
It's rather cool here. But the video today, I found it very relaxing, laid back.
It was so quiet that I was like, "What is he saying?
Mm-hmm.
Does he care? Does he know what he's talking about?" I don't think so. I think he's making shit up. Saying a lot of crap there. But yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't
offensive.
Yeah, it wasn't so crazy. We were like flipping our minds. We were just like, "That's stupid. That's really dumb what you just said."
Yeah, I think 10 years in the real world without any parental support, he can make good arguments.
Maybe. I don't know. Pretty sad, but guys, do not compare religion to anything, especially. Well, actually, don't even compare Evangelion to anything. That's another rule. That's what. Don't even do that.
It's a better rule.
Well, when you have people like interpreting scripture, that's really stupid. But I guess rabbis and priests do that all the time. But for good purposes, for the purposes of helping people and helping them through issues, not to explain the end of the world in a visual way with Japanese animators. That's silly. Anyway. Thank you guys. Let's keep the suggestions going. Are we going to do anything tomorrow related to Maggie May? Or are we done with Maggie May?
I think like it's up to Dunn, really.
Oh, okay.
I told you to wait a month because we're out of under 40-minute videos.
We're not gonna remember the video.
Yeah, we're not. It'll be.
We wouldn't know what she talks about anyway.
It's better to just end the Maggie May saga in May, so we don't have to carry it over to the summer.
We'll see. We'll see if we'll do any more Maggie May fish videos, depending.
If you show me this shit in a month, I will still remember the crap she talked about.
That's you.
And sum it up. I can sum it up for you.
I can't recall what we covered honestly on Friday. That doesn't ring a bell.
I just need to see her current nonsensical makeup, and I will remember what she talked about.
I know that that was her worst makeup so far.
The starting makeup, the worst starting makeup. When she did the makeup on screen, that was horrific.
I thought the yellow one that looks like piss, that was worse.
Well, anyway.
I didn't piss on her yet.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Keep on the voting. Keep the suggestions going.